We are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website www.adstudiescenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Teach us to number our days that we may apply our heart unto wisdom. This ancient phrase isn't just scriptural, it is a guiding principle embraced by people from all walks of life, whether for fun or for genuine wisdom. 60 is indeed a remarkable milestone, and today we join the world and the Methodist Church in celebrating the Diamond Jubilee of their very own Secretary of Conference, the Right Reverend Dr. Babatunde Abiodun Taiwo, popularly known as Papa T. Hello, my name is Grace Komolafe, and this is Souq Podcast. Like I would always say to you whenever I have the opportunity to do so, I would say that I would take it right from our studio to your very destination to make sure you have a more special moment. It's truly a special occasion for Dr. Babatunde Abiodun Taiwo celebrating Diamond Jubilee, and you can feel the joy in the air as friends, family, and well-wishers gather to celebrate him. Just as the celebrant is exceptional, so are the distinguished guests who will be joining us on this side today. It is Souq Podcast, and we will be bringing you special moments with special guests after this break. Stay tuned, we'll be right back. So it is Souq Podcast on Souq News Television. Like I told you, we'll be having special guests come around to talk about this celebrant. It's a pleasure having you here today, sir. He's the Right Reverend Dr. David Adekoya. I would like you to tell us more about yourself.
About myself? By the special grace of God, I'm a Methodist bishop. Before becoming bishop, I served this church as the income monitoring coordinator for several years. And even as bishop of the Diocese of Elekuro, I am still currently the conference income monitoring advisor. I served for years as bishop before his election or elevation as the secretary of conference. And we find out that at the time of contemplating of whom to select as the secretary of conference, we discovered that the former prelate, His Eminence Dr. Souq really did his research very well to pick somebody who is capable for the assignment, the best person for the assignment. Apart from that, I have a relationship with him this way. I succeeded him at Elekuro. He was the bishop of that diocese, and I took over from him. Immediately, he was elevated as secretary of conference. I was also translated from another diocese to take over from him.
All right, thank you. So you talked about capability, that he is capable. So would you say in selecting secretary of the conference, would you say that experience counts?
Experience counts. You must have served as bishop for some years. And I think with that, he got the experience before being elected into that post. And apart from that, we look at capability, look at the zeal, the passion for the job. And I think he's in possession of all this.
So what are you wishing the celebrants today as he celebrates his 60th birthday?
Wishing him well, that he will celebrate more and more. 60, another milestone will be 70, 70, then 80, 90, 100. Then the Lord can do whatever he wishes to do after 800.
Thank you very much, Right Reverend Dr. David Adekoya from the Elekuro Diocese, Ibadan. Thank you so much for your time.
Bless you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Right, so in celebration of Right Reverend Dr. Babatunde Taiwo, we have another special guest who will be telling us about the celebrants for today, and he is Right Reverend Dr. Kolade Fadansi from Ibadan. So I don't mix it up, can you tell us more about yourself?
Thank you very much. My name is Very Reverend Kolade Fadansi. I'm the director of the Institute of Church and Society of the Christian Council of Nigeria, based in Ibadan.
Great. So celebrating the secretary of the conference. So tell us, how can you measure what his work so far in the period he has, taken that position?
The Right Reverend Dr. Babatunde Taiwo was my tutorial master when I was in the seminary. He was then the presbyter of the Methodist Church, Bodhicha, in Ibadan. So then he was a thorough person, fine person, personality, a refined gentleman, a brilliant scholar, a leader by excellence. And he served at the time as the bishop of the Diocese of Elekuro, based in Ibadan also. So I've been following him for these years. eventually became the Secretary of Conference for the Methodist Church Nigeria, and that gives him the opportunity to refine the administrative structure of the church. So he is the chief administrator and works closely with the prelate of the church, and he has given his best. All these years, he has been able to carry the church to a position of enviable status. And also, he has been able to redefine the job of Secretary of Conference in a more refined and beautiful way.
All right, thank you. So it is good that you have known him for a very long period of time. So I want to ask this again. You've mentioned so many things that he has done, but what is that thing, just one thing that sets him apart, from numerous men of God that you already know?
Our Reverend Dr. Babatunde Taiwo believe in anybody that he comes across, and he can work with anybody, and also can mold people. And even if you make a mistake, he corrects you in a more subtle way and bring out those mistakes for you to become a better person.
Wow. So, in selecting the Secretary of Conference, would you say experience counts?
Definitely, because Methodist Church Nigeria is a church that works with experience and also look for people with quality to stand in the helm of affairs of the church. And the position of Secretary of Conference is not just a status that is going to be handled with levity, or that the church will just take just because we want to appoint someone. It has to be someone that has candor, brilliance, and the ability to manage a very beautiful and wide church like Methodist Church Nigeria. Remember, we're the first church in this country, so we have challenges.
Okay.
And so, anyone that will be the Secretary of Conference must be someone that will fit into that status.
So, as he celebrates his 60th birthday, what do you wish him?
I want to join others to wish him long line of prosperity. Prosperity not in financial times, but prosperity in earthwise, prosperity in more wisdom, prosperity in total commitment to God, and prosperity all around him, beautifully for him to be able to advance the kingdom here, and also for him to also enjoy the labor that he has put into his service.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dr. Kolade Father. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Several years later, verse 2, if you are above 60, you join the people who took the first verse to take the second verse. If you are below 60, you will take the third verse by praying to God.
Alright, so it's still the celebration of Right Reverend Dr. Babatunde Abiodun Taiwo, and here we have Reverend Oladapo Daramola. He is the minister in charge of the Ikeja parish, if I'm not mistaken. It's a pleasure having you here.
Always a pleasure to be here.
So tell us, what's your relationship with the celebrant?
Well, on a personal note, what we call is an egbon to me.
Okay.
And in the ministry, is my boss.
The ministry is your boss.
Yes.
Great.
So we have a dual relationship.
I see.
So we have the one, he calls me Aburo, and we have the one that, it becomes a formal relationship.
Great. So as an Aburo, right, what do you admire in him?
I think it's courage. It's courage. And the passion he has for the ministry. But more importantly, it's courage. I know some experiences he has had and I saw the way he weathered those experiences. I call them his own storm within the ministry and how he weathered the storm. It's quite motivating. It's quite, for those who are coming behind, it's quite encouraging. And it shows that if you are committed to the work of God, if you are, first, I think we must establish the fact that if you are called by God, yeah, things will happen, storms will come, but like he did promise, he's always going to be with us. So, and that's one thing I admired and still continues to admire about him.
Okay, so how would you say his journey, or would you say rather that his journey reflects the value and mission of the church?
Well, to a large extent, again, like maybe that's where his passion comes in.
Okay.
He's passionate about the church. He wants to see the church, just like his own personal life, he wants to see the church overcome challenges and be better. And I think overall, he has reflected that since he came on board as the secretary of Conference Methodist Church Nigeria. He's an ebullient person. And with that, he demonstrates a lot of, again, like I said, courage. He has faith. And that resonates, through anything he does. He never believes anything is impossible. And so, in his personal life, it has shown, and it has also reflected on his journey as a member of the Episcopate in the Methodist Church Nigeria.
All right, so before we let you go, tell us your wish for him as he celebrates his...
I just wish him all the best in life. I wish him he gets to higher grounds. I wish his wife, and who is like an Egbon to me also.
Okay.
So like I said, we have two sides to this.
You have plenty of Egbons.
So I wish them all the best. I wish them all the things that life brings in the positive sense of it. And more importantly, in the ministry, I wish him he continues to grow and grow strong in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen. I say a big amen to them. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It is still the Diamond Jubilee of Right Reverend Dr. Babatunde Abiodun Taiwo, and we've been having special guests, distinguished guests come around to talk about him. Do not forget, he is the Secretary of Conference for the Methodist Church of Nigeria, and we have someone very close to him again. I think they've been working hand in hand, and we have him to say something about the celebrant. It's a pleasure having you here. Let's know who you are, your name, your relationship with the celebrant.
My name is Very Reverend Uchenna Onukube, and the Director of Administration, Methodist Church Nigeria, and in the diaspora. So that's who I am.
Okay, so we had a conversation, I think, earlier before this podcast started, and you mentioned that you are his deputy. So as his deputy, how would you say what would you say rather his birthday represents to you as a member of the church?
His birthday, marking 60, it's a big achievement, especially in our climb, and it's worth celebrating. And I believe that today we are celebrating a man that is focused, is very focused, a man that can be loving, a man that also can correct you in ways that you never even thought he could do it, but at the end, he wants the best for you. So, working closely with him, it has afforded me the opportunity to understand him as a man of many parts.
Okay, so, I mean, you know now that he's a man of many parts, but I would ask you that what sets him apart? You've actually worked with a lot of people, you know, if you agree with me, but what is that thing that sets him apart when you want to do a comparison?
Yes, what sets him apart is that he's a man that wants jobs done. He would harass you, he would cajole you, he would try to encourage you, or just get the job done. So at first I saw him as somebody that is very difficult to work with. But at the time I understood him as somebody that wants the job to be done. And just let's cross the line and finish and get the first position. So the moment I understood him as that kind of a person, I tilted towards that focus.
Okay, great. So, would you say that his journey so far reflects the mission and the vision of the Methodist Church of God?
Yes. One thing about the Methodist Church is that anyone that is in a position is fitted by God. Because we have so many persons that are qualified, so many persons that could do wonderful things. But God has a way of narrowing it down to our persons. You might be surprised when a verdict is given or a name is mentioned and you say, in your own myopic understanding or your own little understanding, you say, this person is not worth it, this person shouldn't be here, this person shouldn't be here. But God has his own way of putting people in the position he wants. And it has been so for Methodist Church Nigeria. And when you take time to understand why God put such a person, you see that, yes, God is wiser than man.
All right, thank you very much. I want to ask you your wish for the celebrant.
I wish him long life, good health, more wisdom, and above all, money in his bank.
Yes, money in his bank, and I agree to that as well. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you feel the joy in the air and the kind of conversation that has been going on here? Yes, obviously you would agree with me that Right Reverend Dr. Babatunde Abiodun Taiwo is a special person. Yes, because you would agree with me again that every testimonial has been positive, and positive. Okay, so we still have a lot of people coming around that will be sharing their experience about the celebrant. But again, we will take a break. Before we take a break, let me remind you that we can bring our studio. Yes, literally. I am saying that we can move Souq podcast from our studio to your destination, anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter. Just reach out to us and we will be right there to make your event more memorable and fun. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll be having more of this conversation. We'll have more special guests come around to talk about the celebrant. It is his Diamond Jubilee celebration, and it's no joke. It's no joke. It is the grace of God for him to have lasted this long, and we know that he's still going to spend many more years on the planet Earth. We'll be right back. Souq podcast, and my name is Grace Komolafe. Don't forget, it is a celebration of the Diamond Jubilee of Right Reverend Dr. Taiwo. I'll take it from the top, Babatunde Abiodun Taiwo, popularly known as Papa T. So I think I'm going to use Papa T at this point. Tell me your relationship. Okay, before we go into you telling me your relationship, I think I need to let our people understand who we have here. So we have the very Reverend Patrick Bamidele. Okay, he is the Secretary of
Conference
Education.
Education Secretary.
Okay, so he is the Conference Education Secretary. So tell me, what's your relationship with Papa T?
Papa T is my direct boss.
Okay.
I report directly to him. And he's one of the best bosses I've ever worked with.
Okay, him being a boss, a direct boss to you, how would you say his leadership has influenced you as a person?
Wow. He is a very good leader, a practical Christian, a man with human face, a man who is prepared to listen to you and then come up with solutions, especially when you are in crisis. He's the people's man. He is well loved. And no wonder we call him the new Don. Papa T happened to teach me when I was in the seminary. He was my teacher. And we have a name we call him then. When he's teaching you, he flows. So we say, flow out.
Oh, okay.
we call him
flow out. I see. Okay, so at any point, were there a time you felt, oh, I don't think I can work with this person? At any point in time?
Not at all.
Wow.
If I have my way, I will work with him until I retire from Methodist Church Nigeria.
That's great. So tell me how, if his journey so far reflects the value and the mission of Methodist Church.
Come again,
So I asked, his journey so far, would you say it reflects the mission and the vision of Methodist
of course,
Church Nigeria?
of course.
So tell us about it.
Of course. If we have to trace his life, well, as his life as a Methodist, I think Methodist Church Nigeria is lucky to have a bishop like him. He has attracted so many things, so many positive things to the church. So you can see the crowd in there. That's the testimony of the kind of person he is. Like I say, he's a gift to the church, and we are proud of him.
Thank you very much. So what do you wish him today? What do you wish him today?
All the very best life can offer. And then many more gracious years ahead. And when the fullness of time comes, we shall all meet over there in heaven, including you.
Amen. Amen. We look forward to that. Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you.
God bless you.
Amen.
All right.
So again, we have someone special right on this side, and he will be shedding light into the life of today's celebrant. And he is the Right Reverend Eneche Godwin Ojobo. It's a pleasure having you.
Very reverend.
Okay, very reverend. Pardon me. So you can tell us more. Let's meet you again.
All right. I am very reverend Eneche Godwin Ojobo.
Okay.
Head Media and Communications.
Okay.
Methodist Church Nigeria.
Great. So tell me, what's the relationship between you and the celebrant?
Yes, he's my boss, my direct boss.
Okay.
In fact, he is one of the arrowheads God used to bring me to the media office. And he had been a close ally and friend, so that he will give me counsel and advice based on what to do in the office. And he's a father, he's a mentor, he's a pragmatic leader. He's very eloquent and very, very widespread. In fact, he is the only Yoruba bishop who had traveled through the East and also to the Middle Belt and have been a bishop of the Igbo people.
So I see you people call him Papa T, so let me come in now. Papa T is celebrating 60. What does that represent to you as someone working close with him?
Yes, like I said, Papa T for everybody means a different thing.
Okay.
For us, we copied it from his equals because he always tried to play the role of a father even while he was young. And then he has a baby face. Of course, you can see that at 60, he's still looking more like someone who is around 40, 45, 50, you know. So I call him Papa T because I feel it very comfortable for me because he plays the role of both father, boss, friend, and everything.
So as the Secretary of Conference, Methodist Church of Nigeria, what would you say he's doing differently?
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, he is one of the oldest bishops as at the time he became the Secretary of Conference. That's one thing that you can't take from him. And then he is also the only sitting SOC who is celebrating 60th on the seat. And then, like I said earlier, he is the only Yoruba bishop who had pastored the Igbo people in Umuahia East and had been in Edo Delta, and then he's also a bishop here in the city. So he is well traveled. And he is one of the most connected bishops who actually brought in the C.C. Williamson training of Methodist connection to Nigeria. And he's well connected both outside and internally. He's highly, highly connected. In fact, as at the time he came in at a very time where he came with the prelate. We refer to him as the SOC New Dawn. You know, the church was indebted, but then he didn't close his eye from it. Neither did he close his eyes from supporting the prelate in development. So he's quite a very specific bishop who is interested in the growth and development. So he's using his connections to ensure the stability of the church.
Great. So do you see yourself in his shoes in the near future?
Well, I wouldn't say that.
In the near future, we don't say now.
Yes, I wouldn't say that because you see, there are shoes that you will project to sit on. And I think I really don't envy the seat of an SOC at all. Yes, because the work there is so much. It's beyond just ecclesiastical and pastoral. It is beyond administration. It has to do with understanding history, understanding administration, and then taking serious risk, because the truth is you are just like the shock absorber to whatever happened. The prelate is an ecclesiastical head and the SOC is the administrative arm. So he takes some decisions and he works based on canonical obedience. So whether good or bad decision by the prelate, he is the shock absorber. So I see things just from a pastoral way. So I could actually just say, okay, maybe leadership. Okay. But when it comes to SOC, it's administration.
Okay, so tell us your wish for him today.
Wow. Seriously, I wish him good health, long life and prosperity. And above all, joy and happiness, because that's what I derive anytime I see him and his wife.
Thank you.
Thank you so
much for your time.
You're blessed.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so we have another special guest with us here, and she will be telling us more about this celebrant. We have Dame Mawumi Shotubo. It's a pleasure having you here, ma'am.
It's my pleasure.
Great. So tell us, what's your relationship with the celebrant?
The celebrant is a brother to me. No, not biological brother, but you can have brothers that are even closer to you than your biological brother. I've known him for over 30 years, and he's been a fantastic person in the ministry. Apart from the ministry, he's very close to my family. There's any time I call him, it's very handy. And he has a fantastic wife too. I thank God for them.
Great. So as the secretary of conference for Methodist Church,
Yes.
what would you say are those special things that he has been doing?
Special?
Yes, those special things he has been doing as a secretary of the
Well,
conference.
as the secretary of conference, I think he coordinates all the ministers under him. He coordinates everything in the church, and everything the Petre does, he coordinates it. You know, he's in charge of the Methodist at the conference level, and he's doing the work very well. May God continue to be with him, guide him, and show him direction.
Amen. So you mentioned earlier that aside from being a brother from the church, he is also related to you outside church. So looking at his leadership skills in the church and his involvement with the family, you know, how would you weigh this? If you want to measure it, how would you weigh it?
Naturally, I think he has a fantastic leadership quality. God blessed him with that. So we should just continue to pray for him. He's holding the fort very well. And our prayer is, you know, it should not derail. We should just continue to pray.
So what do you wish him as he celebrates his Diamond Jubilee?
Well, I wish him a very, very glorious return. As he celebrates his Diamond Jubilee, by God's grace, he will celebrate 70, 80, 90, 100. And the Lord will grant him all his heart desires. The Lord will bless him, bless his family, continue to uphold him as he continues with his work as the Secretary Methodist Conference.
Thank you very much.
Well,
Right Reverend Dr. Iyang Efyong. He is the bishop in charge of evangelism and discipleship. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Yes, please tell us, what's your relationship with the celebrant?
We have a very good relationship. Number one, he's my colleague, my senior colleague.
Okay.
Number two, he is the number 2 clergyman in Methodist Church Nigeria, the secretary of conference, which I followed him as a number 3 clergyman in Methodist Church Nigeria headquarters. So he is the secretary of conference, he's in charge of administration, and everything goes through him in terms of administration.
Okay.
So, and working with him is a good thing.
So tell me, what do you admire about his leadership?
But you have this, you cannot predict him when you meet with him.
Okay.
If you stay with him, he doesn't like any word to say. He will say, he will sustain you with a lot of ideas, good ideas. He will advise you. He will also encourage you in a lot of things, most especially concerning the church. It's like he had the whole idea of Methodism in his head.
Wow. So was there a time when you felt like, look, I think I can work with him, or the pressure is much, I just want to take a break? Was there ever a time?
Humanly, there must be a time like that.
Okay.
But as the condition of the work and the policy as a church, you cannot avoid working with one another.
I see.
Because
so how were you able to pull through?
There's no way you work with a human being that you may not have one issue or the other. But a way to manage that issue makes you a good leader.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is no way you can not have such things.
All right, so he's celebrating 60 today.
Yeah.
What does that represent to you as someone, the number 3, right, to him? What does that mean to you?
I really thank God for him, because so many people were born the same day with him. I don't think they are alive to see today. So for him to be 60 today is a blessing from God. It's something to celebrate. So for us to come here, we have seen his lifestyle as encourage others, and also an encouragement to me as a person. So I supposed to go home and rest after the national convention, but because of this celebration, I have to come back to Lagos in order to share in this celebration.
So in the position he's occupying, let me just ask you this. Is it a position that expires, or you just have to be there till God says, yes, it's time to move? Do you have maybe 2, 3, 4 years tenure and all of that?
We have a tenure.
Okay.
We have a period of 5 years at the first term.
Okay.
Then if the Lord and the church also decide for you to go further, we move the second term, that's another 5 years.
Okay, so I actually asked this question, so I could ask you, would you like him to come again and again as the secretary of the committee?
By the special grace of God, if the church accepted him to continue the second term, I would love him to continue. But because of his age, I would love him to be elevated into the office of Archbishop after his first term.
All right, so tell us your wish for him today as he celebrates 60.
Thank you.
What's your wish for him?
I wish him long life. I wish him good health. I wish him prosperity. I wish him divine connection and other connection that will help him to excel in his ministry.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Bless you. And you didn't tell me your name, but I've told you my name.
Okay, so my name is Grace Komolafe, and you are watching Souq Podcast. We take it from our studio to your destination anywhere in the world.
My sister, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure too.
God bless you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bishop of the Secretary General of Christian Council of Nigeria, we are very grateful. All other bishops, I salute you and God bless you in Jesus' name. Bishop of Evangelism, thank you so much. You should be resting after this convention, but you did not rest. You are here physically to honor us, and the Lord honor you in Jesus' name. Let me thank all the presenters. They have done so well. All the presenters of our meeting today, they have done very, very well. May God bless all of you mightily in Jesus' name. Let me thank all our lay presidents, particularly the lay president of conference, Saide Okechukwu. Thank you so much, sir, for making this work easy for me. Because without your support as the lay president of conference, there's no way I'll effectively work with the prelate and turn this church to a better church. Thank you so much, my brother. I love you. I love your family in Jesus' name. Let me thank all our past lay presidents that are here, including Sir Lanobutola, who is formerly president of Rema.
And at this very moment, I have a very close person to the celebrant, and she is the very sister of the celebrant. Her name is Mrs. Bolanle Ogunaike. It's a pleasure having you here, ma'am.
Pleasure's mine.
All right. Your brother, so like you mentioned off camera, you said he's your immediate junior brother.
Yes.
Oh, wow. So tell us, how was growing up like?
Oh, we call him Papa T.
Oh, way back?
Way back.
I see.
Because he was born when my paternal grandfather died.
Oh.
So that's where he got his name, Babatunde, from.
Oh, that's great.
So, he is a very gentleman, very selfless. He loved his family dearly. It's someone that he would do anything for his family. I mean, I'm talking about we, his siblings.
I see. So, at any point while he was growing up, would you have thought that he would become someone occupying a special position within the church circle?
Our paternal grandfather happens to be a church catechist with Methodist Church Nigeria.
I see.
My late father is a local preacher, is a chairman or the president of Men's Fellowship, Methodist Church Nigeria. My late mom, Dame Oluranti Abigail Taiwo, she was a staunch Christian, a Methodist to the core. She served in every area of Methodist, starting from Sunday school to Women Fellowship, Lagos Diocese. We are originally born and raised in Ereko Methodist, and same with my brother. So he has, just like I said, Tunde has always been a very gentle one. He is the number 3 in the family. I'm number 2 and the first daughter.
Okay.
And he is one of the peacemakers when things are going rough. He's the one that will stand in gap and say, please, let's be peaceful about this. So he has always had the trait of being a reverend.
I see.
And he loves to pray. He loves to pray. So I honestly know that he didn't make any mistake when he decides to be a reverend.
I see. So obviously he has been so grounded looking at the history of your family. So, I mean, it's in the blood.
It is.
It's in the blood. But would you say at any point in time you saw him, probably you've ever seen him being downcasted and maybe feeling like, oh, we can't do this, or I can't do this at any point in time? Or do you see him as someone that is always up on his feet and no dull moment at any point?
So Babatunde, well, I will call him Babatunde because he's my baby brother.
Okay.
So I have the right to call him by his first name. Even though he's the bishop, he is very pessimistic. He's a go-getter. I remember him telling me one day that in our family, nobody has read up to being having a doctorate degree, and he's going to get it.
Wow.
And he worked hard, and he got it.
Wow.
So I give him kudos for that. He's very focused. When he wants to do things, he gets it done. Irregardless of what it's going to cost him, he will get it done.
Wow. So he's celebrating 60 today. What are your prayers for him?
My prayers for Babatunde and his family is to continue doing what he knows how to do best. Serving the Lord. Embrace his family. Never forget his background. Because oftentimes, men of God, because they get overwhelmed with this work of the ministry, they kind of not intentionally neglect their family. So he needs to maintain a balance, a good balance between ministry, home, and his siblings. So I live in the United States.
I see.
And I came for this.
All the way. Wow.
So I feel honored to be here to celebrate my brother.
That's great.
I'm now the most senior out of the surviving children because we lost our brother, which is the firstborn. So I have no other choice than to be there because if our parents were alive, they will be here.
So your special wish for him today?
I wish him good life, good health, prosperity, and above all, because Bible says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his life? Above all, Papa T, Babatunde Abiodun, I wish you that you don't lose your kingdom race. You don't lose your heavenly race, irregardless of what it takes. Serve the Lord, and serve the Lord.
Thank you so much for your time, though. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, so we have very Reverend Godwin Onobo seated here with us today, and he will also be sharing moments with us about the celebrant. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you very much.
So tell us, what's the relationship between you and the celebrant?
By the special grace of God, the celebrant, the Right Reverend Dr. Babatunde Taiwo, the Secretary of Conference, is a father to me, and incidentally, I work directly with him as the Conference Director of Research Services and Documentation at 2122 Marina, which is the corporate headquarters of Methodist Church in Nigeria.
Great. So having worked with him, I mean, you directly work with him, right?
Yes.
So tell me, how has his leadership influenced you?
The celebrant is a man of many parts. He's an astute administrator, and is a motivator, he's a galvanizer, he's a strategist, and he's a philosopher, a theologian, a pastor, and he's been a wonderful father. And his style of leadership has been very, very impactful. He's a man that is result-oriented, a man of action, and is a gift to our church.
Okay, so you mentioned his style of leadership. You know, someone could actually have a positive style of leadership, but it's another thing for it to align with the mission and vision of that organization. I want to ask you, his style of leadership, does it align with the vision and mission of Methodist Church?
Of course. He is popularly known as SOC New Dawn, and since the inception of his administration as the Secretary of Conference, the church has witnessed a lot of progress in different angles, and he is a leader that believes in corporate leadership. You know, he samples the opinion of people, you know, working around him, and so as a result of that, it has made the, you know, his administration smooth and dynamic, and of course, his leadership style is in tandem with the vision and mission of the church.
All right, so what do you wish him today as he celebrates 60?
I wish him the very best and many more years of fruitful celebrations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Amen.
Yeah.
The chat here has been super amazing, if you would agree with me. Well, for me, it is what it is. There's no doubt about that. Look, celebrating 60 is no small feat at all. That's a huge one, I must say to you. Looking at the environment and a whole lot of things happening around the world, it's no joke. So we must thank God for bringing Right Reverend Dr. Babatunde Abiodun Taiwo this far, and like I said earlier, he's going to spend many more years on the planet Earth. But you know what? We need to go. I wish we can take more interviews. I wish we can hear more, you know, testimonial about the celebrant. But hey, we have to call it a day. This is Souq Podcast. We'll take it right from our studio to your destination, anywhere in the world, any day, anytime. I remain Grace Komolafe. Reach out to us via the number scrolling on your screen or through our social media platforms. We are on YouTube, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we are on Thread, and on X. Yes, until some other time, I would see you again on Souq Podcast. Have an amazing time out there. Bye-bye.
Well, Supporters Club had been there for 66 years when it was founded officially, but those who funded it were just doing it for the fun. We just come to the field, drum, sing and go. Nobody gave them any recognition. But I joined them in the year 1977. Well, I paid 2 naira to join. And how did I join? It was because of an incident that happened at the National Stadium. The Shooting Stars of Ibadan and the Bendel Insurance of Benin were playing the semi-final of the FA competition that year. And I had to go to enter the stadium. I paid 4 naira to watch the game. But while entering the stadium, the whole place was filled. And when I got inside, there was no place for me to sit down. So many of us were standing out there, people outside the gate of the stadium. There were more than the people right inside. So as at a point in time, while standing, some people just took me off ground and threw me into the crowd. And I started rolling until I landed on the culvert, concrete. Concrete slab. Before I knew it, over 50 people were on my top. And I could no longer breathe. So to me that day, it appeared I was going to die. But through the grace of God, I was able to wriggle out myself of that position. And the man directly on top of me had to leave because what I did
was by biting him. And I had to struggle to go under the concrete slab. And I was right there for the first half of the game, 45 minutes. I was right there under the concrete slab. I couldn't watch the game. It was the breeze that was coming from the outer part of the stadium that saved the situation. After the first half, you know, people will get up to go to the toilets, to go and buy drinks and meet their friends. I had the opportunity of coming out, and a good Samaritan gave me a small place to sit. Even at that, I was very unconscious. I was not comfortable. But the game ended. It was a drawn game. When the game ended, everybody left the stadium. But because I wasn't very comfortable, I had to wait in the stadium for like an hour and a half before I left. So when I left and I got home, 9 p.m. network news, breaking news. 32 people died in the stadium that day. And that, the thought came to me. I probably could have been one of them. But I thank God. That was what informed my decision to say, I will not go to the stadium again until I have the best way to go into the stadium without being killed, maimed, or injured. And I decided to move with those people, and I joined them. But then we were just doing it. Maybe 20 of us, 15, 30 of us, we meet under the trees of the National Stadium, and we go home. And since that period, immediately I became a member. I introduced what they call flag bearing. When from 1977 to 1990, every Nigerian team that came out of the tunnel or goes out there outside Nigeria to play, you will see the Nigerian green, white, green flag being carried by one person. It's me. I did that flag bearing for 13 whole years. Whenever the team is played, I will be there with them, whether it's the Super Eagles, the under-20, the under-23, the Falcons, and the rest, all our national teams. Even our club sides going out to play Continental, when you see the green, white, green of Nigeria, I used to be the one carrying that flag. So I was with them, and I rose within the ranks from being an assistant secretary to becoming the national secretary and also the chairman of the disciplinary panel of the Nigerian Football Supporters Club. And by 1990, I was voted to be the chairman. That was when the thoughts of registering the club came. So when you hear that the Nigerian Football Supporters Club founder, officially because of its registration, I did the registration. Registering the club, I moved it from Lagos to Ibadan, Oyo State. I'm an Ibadan man. Charity begins at home, they say. So I went to Ibadan. From Ibadan, I moved to Bauchi. I moved to Abuja, Kano, Port Harcourt, all the states of the Federation. By 1992, I went to Côte d'Ivoire, in Abidjan precisely, to launch the Supporters Club. I went there physically, bringing the Nigerians together, those living in Abidjan. I formed the Supporters Club and launched it officially. I left that place, I went to Ghana. I launched it in Ghana. Leaving Ghana, I went to Gambia. I went to Burkina Faso. I went to Mali. I went to Republic of Benin. I went to Togo. I went to all the countries of Africa, putting the supporters club in place in those countries. By 1995, I moved to the United States of America. I launched the supporters club at the Giant Sports Stadium in New Jersey in 1995. After that, I went to France in 1997 to launch the supporters club in France in 1997 because we were already thinking of going to France to play in the World Cup. And if the Super Eagles will not have enough supporters there, what will happen to them? Don't forget that I led the supporters club to the United States of America for the very first time we played in the World Cup in 1994. I was at the Copa America in 1995. That was when I had the opportunity of launching the supporters club in America. In 1996, I led the supporters club to Atlanta in 96. And the winning of the trophy, the gold in football event, made possible by the supporters club, support of the supporters club. Because when you listen, when that match, you remember that we played a match with Brazil in the preliminary stage, and we lost 1-0. But we had the opportunity again to meet them during the semi-final. And during the semi-final, Brazil had given us 3 goals. We were trailing 1-3 at the interval. And when the second half came up, we were given a penalty, I think 25 minutes to the end of the game. One of our players, I don't want to mention the name, but he knows, he lost that penalty kick. That was when God told me, sing this song. It's a miracle working God. It's a miracle working God. He's the Alpha and Omega. He's a miracle working God. Of course, my members chorused. Indeed, miracle came. We scored the second goal. And the then Minister of Sports, Chief Jim Nwobodo, came to our stand and said, Ladipo, I heard you guys singing, it's a miracle working God. It's like God is going to make a miracle to happen today. I said, yes. And we continued. I changed the song. I have a Father who never fails. I have a Father who never fails. I have a Father who never fails. Who never fails. Who never fails. Forevermore. Amen. Jesus never failed. Amen. Jesus never failed. Amen. Jesus never failed. Jesus never failed. Jesus never failed. Forevermore. We scored the third goal. Then another song came. Boya chukuna gaza. Boya chukuna gaza mere. Messiah yobiuma. Boya chukuna gaza. The match ended and there was to be the extra time. And that time it was a sudden death rule. Immediately I sang that song, my people chorused. And the ball was coming to Kanun Wakwo. He was backing the goalkeeper. Chested the ball, raised it up, turned around and tapped it to the net. And that was the 4 goals the Nigerian team scored against Brazil. And they started crying. And I decided to form another song. When Nigeria beat Brazil, when Nigeria beat Brazil, oh, Bebeto start to cry. When Nigeria beat Brazil, why Bebeto? Because they pulled him out. They were thinking they were reserving him because they thought they would meet Argentina in the final. Unknowingly to them, that they will be beaten, they don't know. So I did that song, and we sailed into the final, meeting Argentina in the final. And that again happened. Argentina was leading us 2-1. But we came from 1-2 to beat them 3-2. Yeah, to answer your question, I did that to tell you what the supporters club is to the team. And what this man felt by registering the club is that I have that belief. And it is general. Everybody must have it. That this is Nigeria, it's our country. We have to do something by giving it a positive image, whether in Nigeria or outside. You do know that all of us cannot be Mr. President of Nigeria. All of us cannot be governors, and not all of us will be members of the National Assembly. But all of us as Nigerians have special roles to play in giving our country a befitting and positive image. That is the reason why this man has been following football supportership all the time to date. Well, I want to tell you, like I said earlier on, the grace of God has been the secret. The other secret is that my members, I get them reoriented to believe in my vision. All of them supports what I was doing. They all love this country. They want to contribute their own to the good name of Nigeria. That has been the secret. And don't forget, any member of the supporters club should be referred to as a patron par excellence, because they are not paid. They are not given any allowance. They use their time, their money, even at the risk of their lives, to support the cause of Nigeria through supportership. Well, majorly, it is funding. The challenges is funding, because if you have to support the team, yes, they are playing in Lagos, you may not spend much money. But when they are playing in Enugu, they are playing in Uyo, they are playing in Abuja, you need money, no matter how. But come to think of you traveling with 100, 200, 300, 600 supporters outside Nigeria. They will not go by road. They will go by air. It's a lot of money that we need in running the supporters club. So our main challenges has been that of funding. But I can assure you that God has been good to us. We have had some philanthropists, some organizations who have come to assist us by way of supporting us, giving us a lot of money. And if you will not mind, I will have to put it on record that the very first company that supported Supporters Club was Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola did it for 2 years. They could no longer do it. Then, for 1 year, MTN did it. They could no longer sustain it. Well, later we got Globacom. Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr. has been the brain, the backbone, the sponsor, and the financier of the Supporters Club for several years, doling out millions from 50 to 60 to 100 million of naira, and even in dollars. So that has been the way, that has been how we have been able to surmount it. We have some philanthropists. We have Taiwo Afolabi. who has always supported us whenever we are going out. I remember Alhaji Aliko Dangote in 1996. He supported us, and some other Nigerians too. Esther Ajayi, when we were going to Russia, 2018, I went to this woman, and I told her our problems. The second day, she was able to give us 20 million. I went to meet the then governor of Lagos State, His Excellency Governor Ambody. He gave me 10 million. The club, not me per se, he gave the club. And when we were going to Brazil in 2014, that was the very first time any government supported us. We went to Brazil. Before going, I visited the then president, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. After decorating him as our patron, he pronounced a 50 million naira grant for us to go to Brazil. Actually, we were going to request from him a whole plane to take us there because we were going for a national assignment. Supporters Club is a selfless service. But the president gave us 50 million. I mean, Goodluck Jonathan. But we ended up spending 189 million. The difference of that was raised by me going to Dr. Mike Adenuga, Taiwo Afolabi, Esther Ajayi, Ambode, and the rest. That's how we've been running the club. We've been running the club, meeting people who lost the game of football, who lost Nigeria, and they have been helping us. Well, very, very unfortunate. It's a story I hate to be talking about all the time because I've said many things about it more than 100 times. Supporters Club had been there for several years. And Dr. Rafiu Ladipo was the national chairman for just 10 years, from 1990 to 2000. I left that position in 2000. And then somebody else became the national chairman. And that was Alhaji Waidi Anderile Yusuf, who was the chairman for 8 good years. After him, there was Otumba Olatunde Bashorun. He was there for 4 years. And there came a time when one Mr. Vincent Okumagba acted in that capacity for 3.5 years. And there was one little mistake, misunderstanding, because people will not want to wait for their time. And all I told them is, please, go through an election. Anybody who would not want to go through an election is not supposed to be on that chair of the national chairman. That's what came up. And the then NFF believed that there could be 20 arms of supporters clubs in Nigeria. It could even run to 100 units. But it's unhealthy. You cannot have a situation where your team is playing right on the field and you have different corners where you have the Nigerian supporters scattered all over the field, singing in different voices. It's not good. But look, I've been able to manage it because God has told me that supporters must not die. Supporters will not die. I have to be patient to let them see reasons why the supporters club should go and support the teams with unity. As a unit, go and support the team. But if you have funded your own, maybe you have registered your own, you have your own office, you can stay in your office. Manage your office the way you want to manage it. But when it becomes a national assignment, you are going out to represent Nigeria. All of us as supporters must come together to support Nigeria as a group supporting one team. Not when you have some people in angle 90, some people in angle 180, some people in angle 360, some people in angle 60, supporting one team, it does not augur well. There's nothing you are going to achieve from this. I remember when we were in Russia, and my members have gone in. I normally wait for all of them to go in before I will finally go in. So when I was going in as the last person, I entered the stadium, and I saw them, some people up there, I saw some people on the left, I saw some people on the right. And when I was going to meet the band boys, some of their security men came to me, I'm in Russia, and asked me where I was going. I said I was going to meet my people. They said I should bring their ticket, my ticket. And when they saw the ticket, no, you can't go there, go there. That place is not yours. Your seat is downstairs there. How do I coordinate the activities of my members? This is what we've been telling them. Supporters Club must be united. They must come together, sing together, cheer the team together, and let us have a befitting result. When the referee and all the match officials see a group of people, even if you are 200 or 300, converging in one special place together, in your uniforms, in your green and white, and you are singing, they know you have come to support your team. So it takes them every reason to want to do the game better. Well, when you are not there, in a capacity crowd of 90,000, we had 5 supporters here, 2 there, 7 there. When the Argentines were about 87,000 in the field, singing for their team. So I believe that the Supporters Club must be together. I've been able to manage it now, up to now. The national chairman of the Supporters Club as we speak is Reverend Samuel Ikpeya. He coordinates the activities of the Supporters Club in Nigeria. While worldwide, I'm the President General because we have Supporters Club in all the other countries of the world. And when we come together, there must be one person. There must be the head. We have the president of the Supporters Club in Côte d'Ivoire. We have the chairman of the Supporters Club in UK. In all Francophone countries, the head of the Supporters Club is called president. In Anglophone countries, the head of Supporters Club is addressed as Mr. Chairman. So the President General is not just what we just came out with. It's because there's a need for it. That's why the President General worldwide comes up. Well, I have told you a lot of people don't want to wait for their time. And when you don't wait for your time, what do you lose? You lose much. There was going to be an election. And I called all of them, go and pick your nomination papers for the election. But some of them would not want to because they want appointments. And I don't believe in appointments because we have a constitution in the Supporters Club that says everybody and anybody who wants to be an officer must contest for election. I insisted that there must be an election. Some people would not want an election because they know, probably they believe they cannot win. They decided to say, oh, let's go our way because we don't want election. That's it. Before now, up to about 8 years, 10 years ago, the Super Eagles were really super. But in the last 8 years, we have not been there. We have not been doing well. Don't forget that in 1994, Nigeria's team, the Super Eagles, were judged to be the 5th best in the world. What is our ranking now? 37th in the world. Even in Africa, what is our ranking? So the Eagles of the last 8, 9 years ago, no, they have not done well at all. I want anybody to tell me what did we win in the last 8, 9 years. Don't forget that in 1980, we won the Cup of Nations right here at the National Stadium. In 1994, we were in Tunisia. We won it. In 2013, we were in South Africa. We won the Cup of Nations. In 1996, we won the Atlanta Olympics. Since then, what can we point to that we have won? So the Eagles of the last 8-9 years, no. They did their best, but their best was not good enough for Nigeria. And that's why we didn't win nothing. But I want to believe that the present crop of Eagles being put together now, going for the Cup of Nations, we want to write their names in gold. And if that is so, it means they have to put in their best to see that going to Côte d'Ivoire 2024 will not just be going there to make a number. We're going there to give a very good account of ourselves. Who says it is not possible for Nigeria to win the Cup of Nations again? It is possible, but it takes a determined group of people as players who wants to write their names in gold to do that. When you are rating the coach, a coach is as good as his last match. Passero was employed, he was given a target, and the NFF has the power to either sack or renew his contract. I think according to them, maybe he has performed according to what they want. But for me, as a Nigerian, I want Passero to go to Côte d'Ivoire and show us that he is serious and show us that the Super Eagles can still fly and make us get minimally play in the semi-final of the Cup of Nations. Anything short of that, no. Well, I want to believe that our Nigerian coaches are good. There have been 2 or 3 foreign coaches that have done well. Westhoff, Bonfrejo, and this which doctor, what's his name again? I'll remember his name. This guy qualified us to play in the World Cup with a match to go. The witch doctor. Well, the witch coach, we call him, we remember it now, it will come back. So, since then, there's no foreign coach that has done better. I was one of the people that went to London to recruit this man I'm talking about. When we recruited him, he came to Nigeria, and he made us to qualify for the World Cup with a match still to go. Philippe Trouzet. I was there in England where we interviewed him. Well, since then, it has been one coach coming to take our money, not giving a very good account of us, of himself. But the Nigerian coaches, let's also praise some of them. Some of them. The late Shuaibu Amadu qualified us to play in the World Cup, even though he did not take us there. The late Stephen Keshi also made us to win the Cup of Nations of 2013 in South Africa. So if that happens, who says the Nigerian coaches are not good? Some Nigerian coaches have proved themselves, but they still need to do more. But these 2 coaches, exceptional. That is the real reason, the real controversy we're having between the NFF and the coaches. You don't hire a coach if you know you cannot pay his wages. You must be ready to pay his salary as at when due. There's no coach who will labor and labor, and after which he would have trained your players, and you are owing him salaries of 5 months, 7 months. Which coach will take that? Where is that happening across the world? Nobody will accept that. So that has to be looked into. And that is why the NFF has got to look for serious sponsors and raise funds for them to be self-sufficient, to be able to take all these challenges of paying the coaches wages. That is a big problem. And I think the present NFF board, led by Ibrahim Guzo, will look into that, look for sponsors, serious sponsors who are interested, not just interested, but who are genuinely interested in the Nigerian game and in the Nigerian nation. You may be interested in the Nigerian game, but if you are not interested in the Nigerian game, Nigerian nation, you may not give what it takes to do. You must have the love of this country at heart, and then love the game also. In the last 15, 10, 8 years, our boxing went down. In the last 5 years to today, our boxing has come up. I am the president of the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control, and I confirm to you that every week now, we have a boxing championship. We had one last week. Tomorrow, we will have one in Abuja. When I come back the following week, there's another one. We have promoters now promoting our boxing events. And our boxers are now earning big money, other than what they were earning before. In those days, they were earning 20,000, 30,000. They go on the ring, they hit them, they shed blood, and they sweat. What do they earn? But since the last 3, 4 years, our boxers have been earning big money, some of them earning millions, some of them traveling abroad to earn $5,000, $10,000. And that is made possible because we have a group of people in the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control who respects each other, who respect the boxers, who respects the coaches, and who respects the promoters. Take, for instance, I'm sorry to mention, Go TV. Go TV night every day. They've had about 29 Go TV sessions. You know what that means? Go TV for every boxing fight. They don't spend less than 20 million. They even spend more. And our boxing now is being watched all over the world, if not just Africa. A lot of things have been said about this. We have sent memos. We have sent advice. We have met with the people in charge severally. I've had to write to both the Minister of Sports, the National Assembly, and the rest. How can we develop our sports? It's very important. Without grassroots development, you won't be there. As a matter of fact, Kanu Nwankwo happens to be a product of the Nigerian League. J.J. Okocha, product of Nigerian League. Finidi George, Emmanuel Amunike, and all of them played in the Nigerian League. How many of our Super Eagles players, those that are playing for us now, do you see what developed here? Maybe you have 2 or 3 home-based players playing. But the real product for our football development, they are here in Nigeria. We have to go back to those things we were doing that time when we got the likes of the Segun Odegbami, Henry Nwosu, Christian Chukwu, down to Stephen Keshi, Okocha, and the rest. We have to go back. We don't have to rely on those players who have been serving us in the last 12, 15 years, believing that they will continue to serve us the same way. No matter what you do, players will get weak. They will age. And when they are aging, that's when they start referring to them as tiring legs. You need replacements for them. How do you get that? You can only get them from the local scenes. We have various clubs in Nigeria playing the leagues, the Premiership, the National League, and the rest. 20 teams in one. Do you know how many of our boys out there that can play football if we harness them, bring them together, and give them the right training? Of course, let me ask you, how many of our club sites have feeder teams? Feeder teams, they are very important to the development of the game. When you have a junior player playing the feeder team and is maturing, bring him to replace a tiring leg. In the senior team, how many of those teams that we have can boast of feeder teams? How many of them can boast of their own fields? Perhaps we have about 3 clubs that are privately owned. But others are owned by governments, state governments. And state governments, what do they use them for? For political gains. And if it is political gains, well, it's off it. Let's do football like it is done elsewhere. Football is big business. People are making billions of dollars in football. Nigeria can do same. If we do same, we will take off all this nonsense. The boys going about doing a lot of violence, going to do yahoo, going to do kidnapping and the rest. You will have all of them looking forward to becoming millionaires and billionaires in future. And of course, becoming employers of labor apart from fending for their families. Above 50 football. Yeah, it's above 50. I'm the chairman worldwide for that. And my president is Ambassador Edward Olutoke, who has given his support, his finances to be able to do this game. The thing is this, if you have played football, you have played up to the level that you are about 40, and you are no longer playing, you are no longer doing what you know how best to do, you now go and sit down, not doing nothing. Boredom sets in. And within that period, rather than getting fit, you are aging. Some of them developing sickness, various sicknesses that they ought not to have. But because they were no longer doing what they know how best to do, they sit down. So the concept is bringing them back. Not just the footballers, but anybody above 50 could play football. Keeping fit, and above all, living a standard life. Making money. There's a way, we have one thing we are developing with the above 50 concept for you to make money. Anybody who is above 50 and has no car of ease or no house of ease or a home has not been living standard. So above 50 concept is not just to play football alone, but to help you to keep fit, to keep you healthy, and make you to live standard life and make money. That is what we are doing. And as I speak with you, Brazil has embraced it. Mexico has written to us that they will want to play with us. The last competition we had 8 clubs. Ajegule, Surulere, Redeem, Itiraikate, Abeokuta, all of them, they came to play at the National Stadium. And the prize, the winner's prize was 5 million, which was paid instantly. The second place was 2 million, while the third place was 1 million. And we put a lot of money in organizing that. We are going to start the second edition very soon. We have had We're now having clubs from Benin, Edo, where people from Abuja, people from Kwara registering to be part of the above 50 football. How much do they put into sports? What you have in sports is noise. How much money do they put into sports? They need more money to run sports, particularly the development of the sports, not just taking part in competitions. Because if you have to develop sports, it takes a lot of money. And all those successful countries doing sports, it's because they have put money into its development. So government has got to put more money into the development of sports. Fantastic women. They've done us proud severally, having been champions of Africa for 9 times. I don't think any country in Africa can boast of that. But beyond that, we should also realize that these ladies, they are getting old. Some of them are 40, 38, 36, down the ladder. You need replacements for them. That's why we're asking that we should put more money. We should put more focus in the development of sports, both male and female. I think with what the female national team has done for Nigeria, we owe it a duty to put more money into the development of female football. I'm not thinking about that. If I want to, I would have been in politics, party politics. I would have been there, and by now I think I would have been something else. But no, I chose to be part of giving an image to Nigeria, a good image, positive one. Take, for instance, if you go out of the country, you get to the entry point of any country, and you speak of our sports. They give you a wide latitude for you to go in. Well, you say when you get there, you speak sports. They ask you, where's Kano? Where's Okocha? Where's Finidi? Where's Amokachi? That means they recognize Nigeria sports. In fact, that's the only thing we can be proud of right now. Every other thing we talk in diversities. But when it comes to sports, every one of us were together. If the Nigerian team is playing and a Christian has to pray, and he say, I pray that the Super Eagles wins today's match. In Jesus' name I pray. Even the Muslim will say amen. So together in sports, where in this country, football and sports is a leveler, particularly football. Football unites not just the states, it unites the country, it unites the countries of the world. So I believe we can do much more in promoting and supporting our sports so that we get the best benefits, as we say. First and foremost, I want to use this opportunity once again to congratulate him.
Very good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on the World News here on Souq News Television. I am Tim Tope Omoli. Let's begin from Kenya. Kenya has applied for a new lending program from the International Monetary Fund to access unused funds from its previous arrangements, which was discontinued last week. Finance Minister John Mbadi confirmed that around $800 million remained unutilized from the 9th and final review of the program, which was set to expire next month. The decision to halt the previous agreements was due to time constraints, prompting Kenya to explore a fresh funded program with the IMF. The East African nation has been struggling with high debt servicing costs following years of heavy borrowing. President William Ruto's administration is under pressure to stabilize the economy as it navigates fiscal challenges. The new loan application is expected to help bridge financial gaps and support Kenya's economic recovery efforts. And still in Kenya, banks in Kenya have reduced returns on deposits to the lowest level in 15 months, following multiple interest rate cuts by the Central Bank of Kenya, CBK. The CBK lowered its benchmark rate from 13% to 10.75% between February and August last year, influencing banks to adjust their deposit rates accordingly. The lower rates means savers will earn less on their deposits, while borrowers may benefit from cheaper credits. Analysts say this move could boost lending and economic activity, but may discourage savings in the short term. As financial institutions respond to the new monetary policy environment, businesses and consumers are expected to adjust their investment and borrowing strategies. We move away from Kenya to South Africa, where the rand has gained 0.3% against the dollar today, as investors awaited clarity on the next round of U.S. tariffs, set to be announced on April 2. The local currency has been volatile despite a 4% gain this year, influenced by both domestic and international economic factors. The South African Reserve Bank recently kept interest rates unchanged, citing concerns over global trade tensions and national budget challenges. Meanwhile, the country's stock market saw modest gains, with the top 40 index rising 0.2%, while government bonds yields edged higher. And again, in South Africa, the Transport Minister, Barbara Creecy, announced that the country is planning to attract private sector investment to revamp its struggling freight rail network. The government and state-owned Transnet launched an online request for information, RFI, from investors, focusing on key mineral export corridors, including those serving iron ore, manganese, coal, and chrome. Decades of underinvestment, equipment shortages, and rampant cable theft have weakened the rail network, limiting its efficiency. Creecy noted that multiple private sector proposals have been received, offering funding and expertise to rehabilitate the system. Following the RFI process, South Africa will issue formal requests for proposals in August. And moving ahead, we head to Egypt, where the microfinance sector has expanded significantly in 2024, reaching nearly 100 billion Egyptian pounds, approximately $1.97 billion in total financing. The growth was driven by improved regulations, electronic payment adoption, and institutional efforts to meet client needs despite economic challenges. According to the chairperson of the Egyptian Federation for Financing Medium, Small and Micro Projects, MSMEF, Mona Sofika, about 4.4 million clients received funding in 2024. Microfinance companies accounted for 41.5 billion Egyptian pounds. NGOs provided 21.7 billion Egyptian pounds, and banks extended 36.7 billion Egyptian pounds to clients. The sector also expanded financing for small and medium enterprises, with 10 institutions funding 19,300 businesses with 17.2 billion Egyptian pounds. We'll take a break now, and when we return, we'll bring you more stories. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us. We head to the Middle East now, where Qatar's inflation rate is projected to average 1.6% in 2025, up from 1.1% in the previous year. According to a report by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, the increase is attributed to businesses absorbing higher input costs while prioritizing sales volume. The report, prepared by Oxford Economics, also indicates that inflation remains mild, with policy easing by the Qatar Central Bank expected to slow. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, estimates that Qatar's inflation will ease to 1% in 2024 before gradually stabilizing around 2% in the medium term. Across the Gulf region, inflation trends vary, with Saudi Arabia experiencing 1.7% inflation in 2024, driven by rising housing rents, while Kuwait recorded the highest inflation at 2.9%. The ICAW forecast GCC-wide inflation at 2.3% in 2025, with Bahrain, Oman, and Qatar maintaining lower rates. GCC central banks are expected to slow policy easing due to their currency peg to the US dollar. The US Federal Reserve is projected to hold interest rates steady until December 2025, with only a single 25 basis point rate cut anticipated. This could slow lending growth in the region, impacting non-energy sector expansion. Despite this, economic forecasts suggest overall stability in the GCC's inflation trends. The United Arab Emirates is committed to a 10-year, $1.4 trillion investment in the United States, focusing on AI infrastructure, semiconductors, energy, and manufacturing. This follows a meeting between top UAE officials and US President Donald Trump, highlighting deepening economic ties between the two nations. While many deals in the framework had been previously announced, a new investment by Emirates Global Aluminium in the first U.S. aluminum smelter in 35 years stands out. This project aims to double domestic aluminum production, support U.S. industrial growth as well. The UAE continues to strengthen investment relations with Washington, leveraging its sovereign wealth funds and expertise in AI and energy. Saudi Aramco is expanding its investments in China, targeting new opportunities in energy, chemicals, and technology. CEO Amin H. Nasser emphasized China's importance in Aramco's global strategy at the China Development Forum in Beijing, highlighting ongoing projects in Fujian, Liaoning, Zhejiang, and Tianjin. Aramco recently began constructing a $9.82 billion refinery and petrochemical complex in Fujian and acquired a 10% stake in Ronseng Petrochemical for $3.6 billion. NASA stressed that China's rising demand for petrochemicals, driven by industries like automotive and renewable energy, makes it a key growth market. And in a progressive move, Spain's Technicas Reunidas and Egypt's Orascom have secured a $2.6 billion contract to expand a 3-gigawatt gas-fired power plant in Saudi Arabia. The joint venture will also include setting up carbon capture infrastructure and a 380 kilovolt electrical substation. This contract is part of Technicas Reunidas' broader expansion strategy in the Middle East, which is expected to triple its net profits by 2026. The company has seen a nearly 50% rise in its share value this year as it recovers from past energy investment downturns. The deal reinforces Saudi Arabia's push for energy infrastructure development while integrating carbon capture technology. Both firms are expected to leverage their expertise to contribute to the region's energy transition and sustainability goals. We head on now to trade policy, where the U.S. plan to impose port fees on China-linked ships is pressuring allies, Japan and South Korea, to expand shipbuilding. But both countries face capacity and financial constraints. Japan's shipbuilding sector is fully booked until 2028, while South Korea's industry has struggled financially for nearly 2 decades, according to the CEO of Nippon Yusen, NYK Takaya Soga. The U.S. aims to revive domestic shipbuilding through tax credits, grants, and loans under a proposed executive order by President Donald Trump. However, U.S. shipbuilders require significant investment in technology to boost production capacity. China dominates global shipbuilding with over 50% market share, a sharp rise from 5% in 1999, with Japan, South Korea, and China controlling 90% of the industry. Shifting production away from China poses a major challenge for U.S. maritime strategy. You're watching the World News on Souq News Television. Most of stories ahead. Do stay tuned. good to know that you're still with us. In China, the Vice Premier He Lifeng has reassured top American business leaders about the country's economic resilience and commitment to improving the business environment. Speaking at the China Development Forum, he emphasized China's openness to foreign investments, with firms like Apple, Pfizer, and MasterCard participating despite global economic concerns. Despite new U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods, investment banks, including Nomura and Morgan Stanley, have slightly raised China's 2025 growth outlook. However, their forecasts remain below China's official 5% target, citing economic uncertainties such as deflation and trade tensions. Meanwhile, Apple announced a $99 million clean energy fund to expand its renewable energy efforts in China. Fewer American CEOs attended this year's forum, reflecting growing business caution amid rising U.S.-China tensions. However, major firms like Corning and Amway reaffirmed their long-term commitment to the Chinese market. Premier Li Qiang called for global market openness, emphasizing stability amid economic uncertainties. Eurozone business activity expanded at its fastest pace in 7 months in March, driven by a recovery in manufacturing despite slower growth in services. The HCOB Purchasing Managers Index PMI rose to 50.4 from 50.2 in February, indicating slight but steady economic growth. Manufacturing showed signs of revival as factory output expanded for the first time in 2 years, with the sector's PMI climbing to 48.7 from 47.6. However, the services sector slowed slightly, with its PMI dropping to 50.4 from 50.6, reflecting cautious consumer spending. Rising production costs led manufacturers to increase prices, though inflation remained more controlled in the services sector. Meanwhile, employment in the Eurozone saw a modest boost, signaling improving business confidence as economic conditions stabilize. A U.S. trade delegation will visit India from March 25 to 29 for discussions on tariff-related issues and a potential bilateral trade agreement. Led by Assistant U.S. Trade Representative Brendan Lynch, the visit reflects Washington's commitment to strengthening trade ties with India as concerns grow over President Donald Trump's planned reciprocal tariffs set to take effect on April 2. India is pushing for an exemption from these tariffs, with officials hoping ongoing negotiations will lead to favorable terms. However, Indian industry groups warn that lowering import tariffs could increase the risk of Chinese goods flooding the markets, harming domestic manufacturers. Both countries are working towards a phased trade deal aiming for $500 billion in bilateral trade by 2030. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance is also expected to visit India in April, highlighting the growing economic engagement between the two nations. The United States has nearly doubled its egg imports from Brazil, previously used only for pet food, as part of a $1 billion plan to lower prices following a devastating bird flu outbreak. The outbreak has wiped out nearly 170 million birds since 2022, causing egg shortage and food inflation. The Trump administration is also seeking additional imports from Turkey, South Korea, and Europe to stabilize supply. In a controversial move, the administration is considering relaxing regulations on eggs from broiler chickens, which are currently discarded due to FDA refrigeration rules. Industry groups argue that pasteurization ensures safety, while food safety experts warn of potential health risks. A proposed bill aims to legalize their use in processed foods like cake mixes and salad dressings. Meanwhile, some U.S. states are reconsidering animal welfare laws requiring cage-free eggs as high prices strain consumers. Nevada has suspended its cage-free mandate, and Arizona lawmakers are debating a repeal. The administration's approach underscores its broader effort to ease regulations and stabilize food prices amid economic uncertainty. And lastly, in the ever-exciting world of sports, Jason Tatum and the red-hot Boston Celtics continue their road trip through the Western Conference as they face the Sacramento Kings tonight. The Celtics, currently on a winning streak, are aiming to maintain their dominance while the Kings look to defend their home court and snap Boston's momentum. Tip-off is set for 7 p.m. local time at the Golden One Center. In other NBA action, the Chicago Bulls aim to extend their impressive form on the road as they take on the Denver Nuggets. Meanwhile, the struggling Philadelphia 76ers will clash with the New Orleans Pelicans, both teams desperate to end their recent losing slides. With playoffs spots on the line, these matchups could have significant implications as the regular season nears its conclusion. And that's all we have for you on the world news on Souq News Television this afternoon. Remember that you can stay tuned and follow up with all our programming on Souq News TV, all our social media platforms. My name is Timothy Omoli. Thanks for watching. Good afternoon.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission, empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website www.adstudiescenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
What keeps the heartbeat of a community alive? Is it the courage to create, the power to connect, the vision to transform? Well, it's all of this and more. It's a symphony of ideas, innovation, and industry. But where do these stories come alive? It's right here on The Isle, 104.9 FM, the station where dreams meet action and growth finds its voice. The Isle, 104.9. Business, economy, development. Stay tuned.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job. drop makes a hole in a stone, not by force, but by consistent dripping. Nothing describes this woman more apt than her indomitable and consistent drive for excellence. Born Bilikisu Abiodun Moturayo Omobalanle Adekola on December 24, 1962, into the family of Alhaji Abdulmoshood Adekola, the first grandson of the first Alhaji in the city of Ibadan, and a Cameroonian mother, Mrs. Hannah Aduke Adekola, in the ancient city of Ibadan, Oyo State. While her mother was still pregnant with her, left for England to further his education. And while she was pretty much young, her mother left the country to go join her husband, to return while she was 8 years. Meanwhile, she was left to be cared for by her grandmother. She was registered in a private boarding primary school at the age of 4.
My parents had me. My father went off to England to go to school before I was born. He left my mother pregnant with me. My mother had me, and before I was a year old, left to join her husband in England, and I was left with my grandmother. I grew up with my grandmother before my parents came back like 8 years after. Spent my first, from about age 4 or 5, I was sent into a boarding nursery school. I lived in boarding school at a very early age because my parents wanted to protect me from becoming a local Ibadan girl.
And she usually attributes these to her early independence and wisdom. Omo Agbanimi, some of her friends sometimes poke fun at her wisdom, which is way beyond her age.
I was raised by my grandmother, so I'm a bit of an old woman in my brain, in how I think, as my friends say.
Her foray into business started at a very young age at her grandmother's shop where she sells salt. Little did she know that this was going to stand her in good stead in life.
My first exposure to business was my grandmother's little shop where she sold salt. And I used to love to sit behind her little kiosk and help her to sell the salt. But who knew I was being trained for business in my future?
While at secondary school, she participated in the literary debating group, excelling in it, which made her consider a career in law, though that didn't last. Also, it is worthy of note that Ibukun Awoshika could hold her own in athletics, earning her the nickname Rabbit because she could really run.
As an athlete, if you want to run, and I used to be fast, they used to call me the Rabbit.
Unsure of what career path she was going to settle for, she considered becoming many things at one point or the other of her life. After secondary school, she thought of becoming a medical doctor, but she couldn't stand the sight of a cadaver, so she let go of that idea. Later on, architecture was another fancy that caught her attention. Similarly, she also considered becoming a chartered accountant. Finally, only see she could work in a bank.
I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Then I found out that they work with real dead bodies. I changed my mind very quickly. I then thought, you know what? I'd like to be an architect. I was good in sciences and had a problem if parents sentence you to science when you're good at both. So I ended up in Ife to study chemistry. By the end of my first year, I realized how much I hated chemistry. I could pass it, but I didn't love it. So then I thought, you know, I'd make a good lawyer. I debated throughout school. I used to represent my school in school's debate. So everybody knows that I can win an argument. So I gave it everything trying to change to law. I used to go and sit outside the door of the dean of law. And then one day the man said, come, what do you want? I want to change to law. Is that why you've been sitting outside of my office? Yes, sir. Okay, if I only take one person from another department next year, it will be you.
After the completion of her undergraduate degree at the University of Ife, she went for the compulsory one-year National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) in Kano State, where she worked as an audit trainee at Akitola Williamson Co., which later became Deloitte.
For youth service, I did everything to make sure they sent me to an accounting firm. They first sent me to a Muslim school to go and teach. That was easy to solve. I just wore a dress off my shoulder. I went to report. I was immediately rejected. Once they rejected me, I went back to the posting room and waited there for days until they sent me to Akintola Williams & Co.
Although she was later given full employment after her service year, she felt becoming an accountant wasn't a thing.
You would have thought that having gone through all that trouble, accounting would be the love of my life. When I got there, within the 1 year of my youth service, I realized how boring accounting is to me. Because they had all the processes somebody else had thought about before. All I had to do was open old dusty files from company to company without imagination or initiative. I'm a very restless human being. That was not going to work. So I finished the work. I did well. They offered me permanent employment, but I said, thank you, but no thank you. Why? Because at that moment, I had come to a realization that that was not the vision for my life.
After returning home, she joined Alibert Nigeria Limited, a furniture company, as showroom manager. In a word, only to kill time. She only stayed for 3.5 months. She left to begin a furniture manufacturing company called Quibis Limited in 1989, just months before her 26th birthday. The company later grew into Souq Center Limited, following a venture merger with Souq SA and Guarantee Trust Bank in 2004.
But the first job I could find 1 week after was in a furniture company. So I went there to kill time. My kill time project has resulted in 30 years of investment of my life in building a manufacturing group in furniture. So it was never the plan of my life. So some of you will accidentally find your purpose.
One could only wonder what had led her not only to compete, but to thrive in a male-dominated terrain. With over 30 years in business, Ibukun Awoshika is a woman to reckon with, encouraging more women to participate in the business terrain. Her passion to see the girl child not just to be educated, but much more to learn to own our own value and trade with it when there is need for it. Her lifelong ambition is to see herself die empty.
My biggest ambition in life is to die empty. Totally empty. That no talents, no giftings, no opportunities, nothing that I was born to do, that I have the capacity to do, that I do not do.
Following her remarkable achievements, she's been conferred with different doctorates, including one in business, entrepreneurship and human capacity development from the Lagos State University, Ojo. Similarly, she was given a honorary doctorate of business administration from the Obafemi Awolowo University and another from the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye, Ogun State. Apart from our entrepreneurial prowess, Ibukun Awoshika is an ordained minister of the gospel, a presenter, writer, and a TV host.
The Bible tells us that let every man be what? A liar. And let who alone be true? Let God alone be true.
She hosts a television program called Business His Way. Also, she acted in the 2020 Kunle Afolanyo movie titled Citation, which in addition to the books she had written, including Business His Way, The Girl Entrepreneur, The Girls in the Boardroom, and My Thoughts in Codes. In 2004, she earned a certification in Business Administration and Management from the IESE Business School. She's also the chairperson of the Novel Nigeria Office for Philanthropy and Impact Investment. She has consistently encouraged women to take up more leadership positions without compromising their values and integrity. In 2005, she was appointed the MD CEO of Souq SA of France. GTB PLC, the Chair Center Limited, and some local investors after the ban of the importation of furniture by the federal government of Nigeria in 2004. Furthermore, it is noteworthy to note that she independently established another ultra-modern furniture facility, Furniture Manufacturers Mart in Ikeja, Lagos. In 2008, she was among 5 Nigerian entrepreneurs who appeared in the first African version of the Dragon's Den. Unlike a great deal of others who knew exactly what they wanted to do from the beginning, she admitted to accidentally finding purpose. Ibukun Awoshika is a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, a member of the board of Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund, a former chairperson of the Board of Trustees of Women in Management, Business and Public Service, and a member of the IESC's International Advisory Board. Furthermore, she sits on the board of Digital Jewelry Limited and Cabri Nigerian PLC. Additionally, she's a fellow of the African Leadership Initiative and Aspen Global Leadership Network. History was made on the 7th day of September 2015. Following the resignation of Prince Ajibola Afonja, she became the first female chair of the First Bank of Nigeria in its 126 years of existence. Ibukun Awoshika's Octo-Nigerian father, Abdul Moshood Adekola, who was a great influence in her life, passed on the 20th April 2020 after serving the Lord as an usher at the Fountain of Life Church in Ilupeju. He was a Muslim convert. He was converted few days before his 60th birthday. She got married on her 28th birthday to Abiodun Awoshika, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Excel Exploration and Production Company Limited, and they are blessed with 3 fine young men, Oludola, Olufishika, and Olamiposi. To celebrate a life of impact at 60, friends and mentees surprised Awoshika by building the Ibukun Awoshika Sports Center at our beloved secondary school, Methodist Girls High School, Yaba, Lagos. This project took about 6 months to complete and had some of our mentees like Tara Durutoye, Ndidi Okuanu, Chichi Nwoko, and Bisola Runsewe. They marshaled it alongside a team of other successful people. She stands like Joshua upon the pinnacle of the Horeb, looking to command an army of a new generation of women entrepreneurs that wouldn't stop at anything to achieving their God-given dreams. For her, she believes that regardless of how illustrious her career is and how successful she could ever get in life, her family and husband remain the most important gift in her life. Ibukun Awoshika.
In Nigeria, when you hear technology, innovation, and e-commerce, then you begin to think of the 21st century visionary leaders who have availed us the luxury of connecting with the world without leaving our spaces. Nigeria, alongside some other developing countries, has occupied the tech space networking, and making a brilliant impact around the world, all thanks to people like LSK. I am Grace Komalafe. Join me on the Corporate Maverick as we unveil the journey of a foresighted leader who foresaw the transformation of technology decades ago. The year 2001, known as the third millennium, stands out for some individuals. It was thought like every other regular year to some people, as they express the excitement that comes with experiencing a new millennium. While many carry on with the feeling of entering the 21st century, some visionary individuals saw it as a strategic period to bet their thought-provoking plans and business goals. Among these visionary leaders and innovators is Leo Stan Eke, founder of Xenox Technology, bringing this tech-oriented company to life in 2001. How much do you know about this tech and business-driven giant? Who is Leo Stan Eke? Dr. Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke, popularly known as Leo Stan Eke, is one of Nigeria's dynamic and influential figures, an African entrepreneur born into the family of Ihentuge Eke on February 22, 1956, in Imo State, Nigeria. His mom, a dietitian, and dad, a nurse. His roots is traced back to Ubommiri, Mbaitoli, where he was raised in the household that valued education and hard work. His parents instilled in him the values of discipline and perseverance from a young age. It was within this nurturing environment that Ake's entrepreneurial spirit began to take shape. Like many visionaries, Dr. Ake's journey to success was paved with academic excellence. He attended Holy Ghost College in Owerri for his secondary education, where he honed his intellect and ambition. Ake's dream of becoming the biggest transport company owner in Nigeria changed as a result of his encounter in India, where he had his university studies. It was a turnaround moment in his life. In India, he pursued a Bachelor of Science degree in economics from Punjab University, and the exposure to India's vibrant economy left an indelible mark on him and then tilted towards more realistic business ideas. This led him to get full involvement into ICT.
So I'm a very good testimony of an African who started from nothing, okay, and got somewhere, not there, right? Okay, so in summary, I came in here first of all to the University of Nottingham, or Nottingham University. I was in Cork City University, where I was doing computer science, and I wanted to specialize in user interface as a postgraduate course, okay? And the system, which I'm sure still exists in the UK, that you have university counselors who observe you in classes and direct you properly. And the thought, since I was going back to Africa, there were no computers. And if I got there, I could be frustrated for another 32 years. So they discussed with my parents, and they wanted to know if I could stay in the UK and continue computer science. I said, no, I was going back to Nigeria. I have passion to change the country, and by extension, the continent.
He later went on to earn a Master of Science in Risk Management from the esteemed University of Nottingham, England, further enhancing his acumen in the field. With his tech startups dating back to the 80s, Eke can be put in the bracket of visionaries who saw that ICT would define the world in no distant time. His ICT Solutions company commenced operation in 1989, focusing on desktop publishing and computer graphics. Over the last 3 decades, the company extended operations from Lagos to Port Harcourt and Abuja, implementing several ICT projects across the oil and gas, telecoms, manufacturing, and public sectors.
I started small, like any other entrepreneur you read today. Okay, some started in a garage. Okay, most of them didn't inherit wealth. Now, so how could they have started? You start with your own. During our time, you have to start with your own sweat, okay, until you build such, get to such a level with a system and structure in place. And then people trust you. But because our kids today pass through business schools connected to people, okay, and they now want to go from average above, you understand, instead of starting. A lot of us started from -1.
Leo Stan Akers' major hit into the business world commenced with the establishment of Souq Technology Limited in 2001. With a fervent desire to contribute to Nigeria's technological space, he embarked on a mission to manufacture computers locally. Now a world-class ICT company providing innovative products and solutions. Under his leadership, Souq Computers have emerged as a trailblazer in the industry, earning accolades for its quality and innovation. One of his notable achievements was the attainment of the Windows Hardware Quality Lab Testing WHQL certification, showing Souq's commitment to excellence. In 2013, the company made headlines with the launch of its computer tablet line, ZPad, marking another milestone in its illustrious journey. Dr. Akers' entrepreneurial prowess extends beyond the realm of technology. In 2018, his company Souq made waves with the acquisition of Konga.com, a leading e-commerce platform in Nigeria. This landmark deal underscored Akers' strategic vision and his unwavering dedication to driving innovation in diverse sectors. Konga.com was founded by Sim Shagaya in July 2012 as a third-party online marketplace. 99% of its shares were acquired by Souq in February 2018. 3 months later, Konga merged with Souq's retail outfit Udala to form the biggest e-commerce company in Africa, retaining the brand name Konga. Leonard Stanley Ake also founded BuyRightAfrica.com Limited in 2008, at a time when credit card and e-payment infrastructures were still strange to many Nigerians. He did this to resolve funding issues for ICT projects and companies. He partnered with international financiers to help Africans acquire technology and compete globally. Some other of his establishments are Technology Distribution Limited, Tax Direct Limited, and iTech Solutions. He is involved in ICT Brokers and ICT Connect.
Okay, but mine had a call. I had a call on the tech sector, and I've been consistent. And if you remember, my first step was to deal with the doubting Thomases, the media people. And it was like an evangelism. If you prove your worth to press people, to media people, because these are the critics of our time, then they follow you. You get to your destination faster. So when I did the whole media houses, transitioning them to digital economy through digital processing, through from typesetting to desktop publishing, computer graphics, okay, and multimedia. Then they started spreading the news. But again, we had to enhance that profile to the corporate world so that people can run offices with data analytics to guide them on advice, projections, okay, and where they're headed to. And then even our election. Okay, so today there would have been crisis in the economy if elections don't have facts and figures. And we did that with the DDC, and then did authentication with a card reader.
If you've come this far, kindly like, comment, and share. Throughout Ake's career, he remained committed to empowering others and fostering socio-economic development. His philanthropic endeavors and advocacy for youth empowerment reflect his belief in the transformative power of entrepreneurship. He launched the Computerized Nigeria project in August 2000, thereby encouraging development and the use of computers. He also launched the Can I scheme providing affordable laptops to young Nigerians with a repayment plan of 24 months window. AK's foundation furthers his charitable efforts, supporting various causes with different donations across the country.
Now, I see entrepreneurs trying to live big. Are you with me? Yeah. I see entrepreneurs trying to show off. You must have incubation period. Every successful entrepreneurs are seen to be stingy because they know the value of every dollar spent. But they use the same money to sustain the society. Okay, so I just want to advise Nigerians here. I see a lot of you startups now selling debt. It means technically you are leaving the company. And if I'm an investor, I watch your lifestyle. First of all, I see an entrepreneur, Nigerian entrepreneur, he hasn't started, he has expensive cars. Entrepreneurs, startups don't drive the best cars. They hide until they emerge.
He was bestowed with the Icon of Hope Award by former President Olusegun Obasanjo on October 1, 2002. He also got Nigerian Science and Technology Achievers of the Year 2003 and Officer of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria OFR in 2004. AK is also a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and holds a life membership Nigeria Institute of International Affairs. He also holds an honorary doctorate in business administration from Imo State University, Owerri, Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi, Federal University of Technology, Owerri, and the University of Jos. He is a fellow of the Lagos State Polytechnic, Lagos, Federal Polytechnic, Ida, and Federal Polytechnic, Nekede, Imo State.
Leadership is big crisis in the third world. Big subject to discuss. I don't have a complete answer, but as an entrepreneur, I can create platforms for you to decide who should be your leader. But my interest is that I'm excited with this 21st century because this is the only century God did not create any person to be poor. In the past, many were called and few were chosen. In 21st century, many are called and many will be chosen. But you have to decide if you want to be one of those to be chosen.
Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke is married to Chioma Eke, the CEO of Technology Distributions Limited, TD Africa, and together they have raised 3 sons and 2 daughters who are doing well in their respective fields of endeavors, just like their parents. As Dr. Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke continues to chart new territories and inspire future generations, it speaks to the limitless potential of the African entrepreneurial spirit. With his visionary leadership and unwavering resolve, Dr. Eke embodies the essence of innovation and resilience, creating indelible marks on Nigeria's business in Africa and humanity. Leonard Stanley Nnamdi Eke.
To start with, let me give some introduction to myself. As you said, I was a former commissioner of finance. I was a commissioner of finance during the Ganduja's administration from June 2015 to October 2020. 2018. I was there for 28 months, okay, as a Commissioner of Finance. And I had been with Bayero University, Kano, before I was appointed Commissioner of Finance. Still, I'm a professor of accounting in the university, but I double as a Commissioner of Taxation, because at the Prince Abubakar Audu University, Ayumba, Kogi State, there was a chair that had been vested there by the Federal Revenue Service in 2011. And they invited applicant for that chair, and I was the successful person, successful applicant. So I still occupy that chair, even though the chair is not functioning. But I got the privilege of serving as the elected or selected professor of taxation in that university. So I am in the area of taxation. I've done a lot of researches in that. And then I serve as the Federal Commissioner of the Tax Appeal Tribunal. So it was on 15th November that our tenure came to an end, from 2018 to 2024 November. So you can see that I have been involved at various levels on the issue of fiscal policy, tax revenue generation, tax revenue utilization. So this the reform that we are talking about was brought about by the president with a view to maybe perfecting the tax system in the country. So he formed a committee to advise him as to how to go about coming up with very good national fiscal policy, not just tax policy, and then how to reform the taxes in the country to make them better, so that Nigeria can compete with other economies that are advanced in the area of utilization of taxation as a means of growing up the economy and achieving sustainable development. So this I know, the process and all that have gone into this project of reform. So bills were developed out of the report of that committee appointed by the president under the chairmanship of Mr. Tayo Oyedele. And for the first time in the history of forming a committee in Nigeria, we had a committee that the president has given the power of implementation. So it's not just about recommending something to him. It is about coming up with a report which will be convincing to him, and if he's convinced, he will ask then to be involved in the implementation of the recommendation of the report. So I think that is why the committee just presented the proposed bill to him without taking this bill to the public domain. Because of the trust that he has on the committee, he just sent the bill to the National Assembly for consideration, for passage into law. And in the bill, they even gave deadline as to when the bill to be passed into law. They expected that the National Assembly would deliberate on this committee, on this bill, to the extent that the bill will be passed into law before 1st January 2025, so that by 1st January 2025, the content or the provision in these bills will begin to be implemented by the government. 4 bills were developed and proposed. And then, unlike the expectation, the comment you made that people are more concerned about the administrative, tax administrative bill. What the bill that is generating the highest controversy is the Nigerian tax bill. That is the bill that has made provision for repealing about 11 taxes that are currently existing, including the VAT itself, including petroleum profit tax, including personal income tax, including companies income tax, and other taxes like capital gain tax, casino tax, etc., etc. And then about 14 laws that are related to taxation, including laws that are designed to exercise control over consumption, over production. They made substantial amendment on them, and then take the amended aspect, amended part of those laws into the Nigerian tax bill, which means that the laws have suffered from, or they have enjoyed consequential amendment. So this bill, which is expected to become an act by 1st January, is now becoming an amalgamation of most of the taxes that Nigeria is using now. Most of the taxes, those that have been repealed, part of them, part of the provision in them have been injected into the Nigerian tax bill. Those that have been considered for consequential amendment, they are also captured in the Nigerian tax bill. And then they made a lot of paragraphing, creating part, creating section, etc., etc., to the extent that the content of that bill is about 220 pages. So you have to develop the stamina. You have to be used to reading before you read everything from the beginning to the end. And if you don't do that, you may miss a lot of things. And you may be talking ignorantly about the content of the bill. And unfortunately, that is what is happening in the public domain. You hear people talking ignorantly about the content of the bill. They just listen to news, radio, television. When they hear the comment of somebody, then they will amplify that comment ignorantly without reading the bill and understanding the content of the bill. So that is the one that is enjoying the greatest controversy. Of course, others too are enjoying some controversy. The Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, because it is in that bill that the new sharing formula for VAT was stated. VAT have been extensively explained or described in the Nigerian tax bill. But how to share the proceeds of VAT have not been captured there. That provision could only be seen when you go to Nigerian Tax Administration Bill, which is the bill that has been designed to show how the tax authorities in the country at the federal level, state level, and local government should be relating with one another so as to avoid conflict, so as to avoid a situation whereby all of them may go to a taxpayer with different dimension of claim. The bill was designed to achieve this main objective, to resolve the conflict that has been happening between tax authorities or even revenue generating agencies. Because when you talk about the revenue, we shouldn't be talking just about the tax revenue. You have revenue that custom is collecting. That bill, second bill, is saying that customs should no longer be involved in collecting revenue. It is the Nigerian Revenue Service that should be collecting. Customs, let them take care of their responsibility of checking item coming in, item going out, which is another area of clash. These custom people, they are used to collecting money. Okay, and they are used to, many of them, a lot of allegations are there as to how they are collecting this money, how they are not remitting the correct amount. So now, collection of custom duty will no longer be the responsibility of custom official, custom service. It's the Nigerian Revenue Service that should be collecting. The same thing with all other agencies of government that are considered as revenue centers. So that bill has made adequate provision to show that they know the moment this bill was passed into law, they don't have any power to collect revenue. It's the Nigerian Revenue Service that should collect. Let them deal with their own responsibilities of stabilizing the economy, ensuring control over consumption, over production, over whatever. But then collection of revenue is not their own. And then between the said Internal Revenue Service and the Nigerian Revenue Service, there should be harmony. If there are revenues sources that are difficult for the state revenue service to utilize in generating revenue, they can bring in, they can collaborate, or they can reach agreement with the Nigerian Revenue Service to do the collection and then share the amount collected as per the agreement, or take cost of collection as per the agreement and then give the state internal revenue service or even local government revenue committee what they deserve. So the expectation of the Nigerian Revenue Administration, Nigerian Tax Administration Bill is to bring about harmony and understanding. So how that could be brought about is a question to be answered because of the nature of Nigerian, the nature of official, and the way the people put their eyes on money. They want to be the one collecting money or keeping money or doing something with money. And now you are saying that all those that are used to that, they have to, they will be suspended from doing that, or they will be banned from doing that. It is only that agency, the Nigerian Revenue Service, that will be doing it. So there are some issues there that are calling for a question, okay, understanding among the agencies involved or the tier of government involved, and then of course patriotism to ensure that whatever we do as revenue collectors, as treasury managers, as revenue utilizers for the execution of various projects, we demonstrate ethics, we demonstrate honesty and integrity. The revenue agency itself, before now, the revenue agency is behaving as if it is for the federal government. And this bill that has been sent to the National Assembly is encouraging the Nigerian Revenue Service, which will now replace the Federal Revenue Service and the law that established it. It's encouraging it to consider itself as a federation agency, not federal government agency. It is to be serving the interests of the federation. And so the concern of the state should be addressed by that agency. The concern of local government should also be addressed. It should be an agency that should be mentoring local government revenue agencies or tax authorities and state government revenue authorities or tax authority, so that they carry themselves together as a team, then ensuring that we have very good tax system in the country, that we have adequate revenue generation on taxation, which should be put to use for executing various projects that will bring about sustainable development in the country. So when you look at all the provisions made in the Nigeria Revenue Service Bill, they are talking about the need for harmonious working relationship. They're talking about the federal Nigeria Revenue Service to serve as the model to state revenue service and local government revenue committee, so that they have very good understanding in implementing the provision in the Nigerian tax bill and the Nigerian tax administration bill. So all the provisions are like that. And then provisions have been made adequately as to the position of the executive chairman of the State Internal Revenue Service, the need for governing board, which should have that chairman as the chairman, the need to have a technical committee at the state level, and who are to be members of that committee, the whole and representation to be drawn from various MDAs and other agencies of government and federal government into the committee, and many other issues. And even at the local government level, there is a need for revenue, local government revenue committee, which should be chaired by the councillor in charge of revenue or finance at the local government level, and who the members are and their function. So when you look at all the provision there shouldn't be any controversy. Even if there will be controversy, it should be less, and it should be something that could be resolved. For example, personally, I will not support a situation whereby the chairman of the State Internal Revenue Service should also be the chairman of the board. This is against corporate governance system. And then the same person will be the chairman of the technical committee. The same person will be the chairman of the revenue joint committee, where all the representatives for local government will be members and other agencies. So it will be as if the chairman of the Internal Revenue Service at the state level will become the alpha and omega on all revenue issues in the state. And that person may even be seen himself to be more powerful than Commissioner of Finance. When I was Commissioner of Finance, I was serving as the supervisory person on all the activity in the Internal Revenue Service. The chairman of Internal Revenue Service should be reporting to me, should be taking orders to me. He shouldn't be going directly to the governor. But the provision is showing that the chairman of Internal Revenue Service is equal to the commissioner. And in fact, they were even saying that governor is just to nominate him and has to go to the House of Assembly for clearance. Just as commissioner will go to House of Assembly for clearance. And there is no provision to show that this person should be answerable to the Commissioner of Finance. So something like this, I think many people may not see it, but with my own experience as a Commissioner of Finance, who have been intimately related to the Minister of Finance that time, I know the problem many states were facing as they empower the chairman of the Internal Revenue Service, they empower too much the Accountant General against the Commissioner of Finance, who should be the supervisor to all these agencies of government. So issues like this are there, and appropriate action need to be taken by the National Assembly in correcting the lapses in the bill. Then the last one, which is about institutionalizing revenue board. Okay, a revenue board. Before we have joint revenue board. Before we have joint tax board. So now that joint tax board is an appendix of the personal income tax. It's just under personal income tax. So now the drafters of the bill, they will want joint revenue board to be on its own, have a law supporting it, so that at the federal level, where we have the chairman of the Federal Revenue Service, he will now serve as the chairman of the Joint Revenue Board. Then all the chairmen of the Internal Revenue Service at the state level will be members. Ministry of Finance will have a representative. Ministry of Budget and Planning will have a representative. And you have some other agencies of federal government that may send representatives into that board. So that board will be taking decision on monthly basis on where improvement should be made, how to solve problems between one tier of government and another, and many other things, which will be very, very beneficial to the president or the Federal Executive Council, and then beneficial to governors and the various state executive council on fiscal policy and on utilization of taxation to generate revenue and on utilization of the revenue being generated by these agencies. Because many people are having the feeling that the agency, they collect this money and they spend the money. But in real sense, they only collect. But they remit to the government, into the treasury of government. So while they collect, they have the responsibility of collection, they don't have the power to spend a kobo from the amount generated. It is the government that takes care of that. So the Joint Revenue Board has been given a lot of responsibilities in that bill. So when it becomes act, become a law of itself, so the Joint Revenue Board will now be more powerful than what we know before as Joint Tax Board. So this is just the summary of the bill that have been sent to the National Assembly for passage into law. Yeah, my turn is that we need reform in our tax system. As a student of taxation, I have the belief that no economy can make any progress if it doesn't have a good tax system. Most of the economies of the world or I can say all of them, all the developed economies of the world, they are tax-based economies. And most of the natural resource-based economies, they are among the backward economies in the world. Look at it. All the members of OPEC, none of them is part of the G20. They have the revenue, they have the oil, they are producing it in great quantity, but they are still being considered as developing economies. Well, when you look at UK, Germany, France, US, other countries like that, they don't claim to be having enough revenue, enough oil to refine for their use and then to export the excess for sale. They don't claim for that, and that's why they don't belong to the OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. They base their economy on taxation, but then they have very good tax system, which is just attracting minimal complaint. And the moment they hear some complaint from either the taxpayers or the tax administrators, they take appropriate action immediately, so that at the end, nobody will complain. And because of the reliance on taxation, the citizen of their countries, both natural and artificial person, companies and individual, the citizen of the country, as they pay tax, they have the right to demand accountability. They have the right to demand prudence. They have the right to demand transparency. And for that, those impositions of austerity, they are always in fear that whatever, if they steal a kobo, people will shout, this is our money. We contributed this money for execution of progress that will amount to a project that will amount to sustainable development, not for the money to be stolen. So this person that is stealing money, appropriate legal action should be taken against him. Sometimes you hear some leaders being hung. Sometimes you hear some leaders being shot, the firing squad, because of the misuse of public money. So members of the public that are contributing this money in the form of taxation, they complain, and then they insist on appropriate action to be taken. So before you come out and claim that you want people to vote for you to go to the parliament, or to be the governor or the president or whatever, you will have it in your mind that when you go there, you touch public money, that may be the end of your life. Because that the contributors of that money will be, their eyes and attention will be on the money. And the moment you misuse it, they will take appropriate action against you. Your image will be tarnished, you may even lose your life. So those economies that are considered as developed, they rely substantially or totally on taxation for their development. And then those economies that are relying on natural resources, oil, cocoa, solid mineral, whatever, as they use the money from this to execute projects, the members of the citizens of that country, both natural and artificial, they don't care if they see them stealing the money and abusing the money, because it's not their money. It's not their own contribution to the economy. Number one, the prohibition on VAT, which you said earlier has attracted a lot of attention from leaders in the northern part of the country. VAT could be addressed in two ways. Okay, the first way affect everybody, and then the second way is what the leaders in the north are complaining about. The first way is on the increase in the VAT rate. Increase in the VAT rate. We have never had a situation whereby progressive increase will be brought to VAT rate in any country in the world. I've from my reading, I have never experienced it. But this is being brought about in Nigeria through these laws. They said VAT rate now, which is 7.5%, as per the Content of Finance Act 2020, will be increased to 10% from January 2025. Just about a month away. If the bill are passed into law, VAT will be increased to 10% of all VATable goods and services. And then just 1 year after, 2026, it will be increased to 12.5%. Then you have a small raise for 3 years. By 2030, the rate will be increased to 15%. So you can see the progression in the increase of VAT. And the moment you increase VAT rate, inflation will come up very powerfully, especially as you are increasing from 20 to 2025, 2026, you are increasing 2.5%. So the goods and services throughout the country, you see their prices going up. And there is no separate market for VATable goods and services and non-VATable goods and services. No separate market. Don't just feel that when you increase VAT rate, the increase in price will be on VATable goods only. All other goods and services, their prices will go up. And how do you survive that? Nigerians now are complaining about fuel subsidy removal, electricity subsidy removal, and many people have become unemployed. Many people have become disabled. Nobody, no any earner of salary can claim to be saving anything for investment. People are borrowing money to top up to the income that they have for survival. And those that have no work, they are complaining. We just finished induction for ICANN. About 3 inductees met me that if I have any chance for them to get employment, you are qualified as a chartered accountant and you are looking for jobs. So what about the secondary school leavers, diploma holders, and other people that have not even attended school? So unemployment is on the high side. And increase in inflation is a killer to businesses, because when you don't have people buying, you have to stop production. You have to stop providing services. And when you stop production, you sack your employees. And then you have more people go into the employment market and labor market. So increase in the VAT rate is a very big killer to an economy. And this is a problem that affects all the state in Nigeria. And our president himself in 2020, I could remember, when they are trying to increase VAT rate from 5% to 7.5%, he came up and warned the government that this increase in VAT rate will be harmful to the economy because of the inflation that it will ignite. That was during his, I think, 68 or 69 birthday lecture. When he was to comment, he talked harshly against the increase in VAT rate. And now the same government is accepting the bill to go to the National Assembly for increase in VAT rate on a continuous basis. So I see this as a very big mistake. The timing is very wrong. And then the policy, the idea of progressively increasing VAT rate, especially as Nigerians are complaining about the subsidy removal, electricity subsidy removal. So this is one thing that need to be looked into. And as we are interested in generating more revenue through taxes, particularly consumption tax, we have to be very careful about the consequences of the increase. And this is for the whole country. So that is one part. The second part is about the sharing of the amount that will be generated. Yes, right now, when VAT is generated internally, and of course the one for custom, they put it together and share it using vertical formula and horizontal formula. Vertical formula between federal government, state government, and local government. So federal government takes 15%, state government 50%, local government 35%. That's how they share it vertically. And then for local government and state, since they are not at the same level in terms of population, in terms of level of economic development, in terms of weight for industrial development, so they have to use the separate formula. And they agreed that 50% of whatever belongs to state government should be shared equally. 30% should be shared on the basis of population. And then 20% should be shared on the basis of derivation. And that derivation, in the simple language, is about the contribution of every state to the VAT that has been generated. And at the local government level, they are to consider the contribution of each local government to the VAT that has been generated. Okay? So at the state level, when you say contribution of every state on the VAT that has been generated, consumption is much more in some state than in some other state. But then the formula, the derivation, the term derivation, this date, that is being applied now, is giving priority to states where the head offices of companies providing services and goods are located. You do consumption in Adamawa on services, maybe recharge card and other communication or telecommunication services, or bank services, or insurance services, or whatever. So since you are just dealing with the branches there, the head office of the bank producing these services is in Lagos or in Rivers or wherever. So it will be deemed as if you do the consumption there. And so the credit will go to Lagos or Rivers or Ogun or wherever, where the headquarters of it is located. Not where you do the consumption. So at the end of the day, you see that states like Lagos, its own contribution may be 50% or 60% or more every month. The state like Rivers, its contribution may be about 15% or 20%. Abuja may be about 10% or 50%. And then the heavy consumers, the northern state, like Kano, which is a commercial center, its own contribution may be 1% or 2%, because it doesn't have the head offices of the companies providing these goods and services that are being consumed there. So at the end of the day, you see that 20%, if it is 6 billion, for example, if it is 6 billion, for example, so 60% of that 6 billion will be about 3.6 billion. That may go to Lagos. And then 10% of that 60% may be about 600 million. It may go to this. And then you, that are the consumers, you may get 1% of that. So you can see that particular 20% is the cross of the matter. That is the basis of the controversy. So now that this bill has been submitted to the National Assembly, then these people saw that this derivation has been increased to 60%. 60% instead of 20%. Now, not previously, right now, 20%.
Not right now, 20%.
And it has been jacked up. And the depression has been jacked up. And then in the law, derivation has not been defined. But then people have to go by what is happening now. As they go against it. Since now derivation is about contribution of state that are producing these goods and services being consumed. So they have the right to just say that, oh, so now instead of 20%, it will now be 60%. And then you hear the government functionaries, including members of the committee, saying that no, that's not what they mean. They mean area of consumption. This 60% derivation is about consumption area, not location of the headquarters of company that produce the good or services. You should have defined that in the law. When you say the issue of derivation has been increased to 60%. But what we mean by derivation is this and that. So that controversy will have been avoided. Or you go under the interpretation section. And so as you are interpreting this and then you say derivation. By derivation, we mean this and that. That has not been done in both the Nigerian Tax Act and the Nigerian Tax Administration Act. So you can sympathize with the people complaining. And then if it goes like that, if they don't correct it at the National Assembly before passing into law, the moment it is passed into law, they will go back to this issue. The suspicion is that they will just go back to a pleasant state where the headquarters of the companies are located, because there is no definition that says that it is about consumption. So everything needs to be documented. Yeah, in a society that is well informed, you should always talk on the basis of evidence. And evidence in accounting, we said you prioritize when you are to prioritize between two evidence, verbal and written. Written is more important than verbal evidence. Okay, and that is why in court, even if you say you give verbal evidence, they want to write it down and read it for you. Then you sign or you put your thumbprint that yes, this is your comment. Because written evidence will continue to remain. Verbal evidence could be denied in a later date. So these are two issues, all based on that. And then you can appreciate why people are talking too much on this matter, to the extent that they don't even care to notice other lapses that in the act. But they, as student of taxation, I have to read and try to pinpoint lapses that need to be corrected so that we have a perfect reform on taxation or on revenue generation in our dear country. So you see, I saw provision on development levy. That there will be development levy, and that development levy will be 4% of accessible profit of companies whose turnover is more than 50 million per annum. So their accessible profit, 4% will be charged as development levy from 2025 to 2026. From 2027 to 2029, development levy will be reduced to 3%. From 2030 and up thereafter, development levy will go down to 2%. So that development levy will be the reason for wiping out other development levies that is used by some government agencies that are providing vital services for this country. You have TED Fund, Tertiary Education Trust Fund. Now they are relying on 3% of accessible profit of companies for all the projects that they are executing across the country. TED Fund, as I hope you know it very well. So it's the one that is most of the infrastructure development in federal university, federal polytechnic, federal college education have been executed by TED Fund. They sponsor lecturers of various institutions to go for further study, to attend conferences. And they have what they call National Research Fund. They take care of all the researches that are being conducted by all these tertiary education institutions using that money. So TED Fund will now get some share from this new development levy. And then you have NIDA, Nigerian Information Technology Development Agency, which is given the mandate of making Nigeria to become an ICT economy. And that agency is relying on 1%. 1% of the profit before tax of GSM companies, banks, insurance companies, etc. These are companies that are pushing for ICT technology development. So the agency is the one to be monitoring the activities, and they want to be funding ICT development in various institutions and taking many other measures which should take Nigeria to ICT economic level. You have NASENI, Nigerian Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure. So that is an agency that has been given the mandate to make Nigeria become science and technology economy, to promote local manufacture of cars, local manufacture of motorcycle, and many other things that we show that we have grown up as an economy that can compete with all these developed economies. So that agency is also relying on a particular share, I cannot remember, from what internal, I think, Federal Revenue Service is collecting. And now the government has introduced NELFON. So NELFON is collecting 1% of the total taxes, levies, etc. that are passing through the Federal Revenue Service. So these are 4 agencies of government that are relying on levies, charges, etc. for them to take care of the mandate given to them. So this development levy is designed to ensure that 3 of them are phased out systematically. Only NELFON, which is for giving loan to students, will survive. By 2030, that 2% that we are talking about, from 4% to 3% to 2%, the whole of that 2% will be for the NELFON. While all these have been put aside, it's up to the government to decide whether to disband them or to put them into the mainstream budgeting system. So in 2025 to 2026, TED Fund will get 50% of that 4%. And NEL Fund will get 25%. NIDA will get 20%, NASEMI will get 2%. So by the end of 2026, NASENI, NIDA will no longer get anything from that development levy. So they will be on their own. It's up to the government to decide whether to pay them out or to continue to fund them through the budgeting system. And then by the end of 2029, TED Fund will not be getting anything. But from that 27 to 29, they said TED Fund will be getting 66 and 2/3%. And NELDA will get 33 and 1/3%. That is what will happen for 2028 and 2029. By the end of 2029, forget about TED Fund. It is only NEL Fund that will be getting that 2% development levy that will be charged. So you can see that by 2029, all these 3 agencies that have clear mandate for moving the Nigerian economy forward, they may either be passed out or they may be taken back into the mainstream federal government budget. And agencies that are used to being independent are going to working on target. How can they survive under the mainstream government budget? So the other implication is that as you have only NELFON, even before transferring everything to NELFON, NELFON is there to give loan to students. All this money that will be coming to you just for giving loan to students. So this shows that a Nigerian student will mainly become debtors. And when they become debtors, will they have the mouth to complain about the government being a debtor nation? Nigeria as a whole becoming a debtor nation. Every day loan is increasing. So students too will now become debtors. Secondly, the federal institution, all these federal universities, they are not charging tuition fee up to now. They only charge registration fee. University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, Bayero University, Kano, ABU, all these federal universities, and many of the state universities, they don't charge tuition fee, just to encourage children of the poor to attend university or polytechnic or colleges of education. So as TED Fund is put in place, nobody can claim that he or she cannot pay tuition fee. And then no university or polytechnic should be going to government asking for money. In fact, government may even give them target of the amount that they should be remitting to the government, because you are charging tuition fee, you are charging registration fee, you are having enough money to take care of yourself, and then we want you to remit something to us because we own the federal university, college education, polytechnic. So at the end of the day, you see that students will become debtors, students and their parents who insist on making sure that their children attend universities or polytechnic or college of education. And then the universities will no longer be complaining about insufficiency of funds, because private universities are not complaining of it. They have their founders who are funding them, and they are charging fee. Some are even charging 2.something million per semester. In Nigeria here, some are charging 2 million, some are charging 1.5 million per semester, and some per session. And so they have a lot of money to execute various projects, to pay high salary to their staff. And then the private universities, they are complaining that no money. When you go, they say no money. Even for execution of project, they either tell one to do it for you, or you go cap in hand as for support from individual and organization to execute project for you. But now that you are allowed to charge fees, and the student, if they don't have money to pay, or their parents don't have money to pay, to go to NELPO to collect loan for the payment of the tuition fee and the registration fee, and even for living costs. And they made it very clear that when you borrow such kind of money, you will start making repayment 2 years after graduation, and even 2 years after graduation until you get a job to do. And then from the job that you are doing, you'll be paying 10% annually up to when you finish paying the loan. How will that be feasible in Nigeria? How would that be feasible? So this provision too is a matter of concern. Yes, for people that will look about what will happen in the future. Look at the implication of the policies contained in that bill. Okay? So I'm of the opinion that to correct these lapses, they should just stop at the first formula. When you collect 4%, you increase the rate to 3%, as again to 4%, as again 3% for third point, in order to accommodate other agencies, and you stop charging the other rate. And then, so the first year they said 50% will go to third fund, which is like reducing what third fund is getting from 3% to 2%. I hope you understand. When I say 50% of 4, that is 2. Before third fund is getting 3% of the accessible profit. So we can manage with the decrease from 3% to 2%. And then NEL fund, which is the baby of the government, will give you 20%. Okay? Then NISDA, which is having very clear mandate of making the Nigerian economy an ICT economy, 20%. Then NASENI, 5%, saying we don't care much about the technological development that may come to manufacturing cars, motorcycle, etc. We give them 5%. And then allow them to look for means of further funding themselves. So you stop at that, but not to scrap any of these agencies. So that's my own advice. Okay? So that is another important area that need to be addressed in this bill before they are passed into law. In taxation, as I said, we encourage payment of what you can afford. A situation whereby, this is my own personal opinion, yes, and people may feel that I am in support of taxing the poor. No, I'm not talking about the poor. Anybody that doesn't have income, that doesn't have profit, that doesn't have gain, it should not be considered for taxation. But if you are making some gain, you are making some income, no matter how small, and you are paying something, no matter how small, out of what you are gaining, that will make you to have greater moral right to challenge government. But if you are put outside the tax net, you are not contributing anything, you don't have much moral right to come and challenge the government for inefficiency, for poor accountability, for poor transparency. When I was Commissioner of Finance, I had called to be organizing some town hall meeting with small, medium, micro, small, and medium enterprises across the market that we had in Kano. I will invite their leaders and inform and address them. You see, we are introducing presumptive tax. We are doing that with a view to ensuring that you own the government. You own the government. This government belongs to every one of us. But then those that are contributing money into running the affairs of the government, into executing various projects for the state, they have greater stake than those that are not contributing anything. And no matter how small their contribution is, you have the right to claim ownership of government. So many of them were encouraged. So I said, okay, you are in this business, you are at this level. How much can you afford to pay as your presumptive tax? So we say they themselves, yeah, they will accept, yeah. Yeah, so there was a time that we had meeting with some of them. I was saying that you are too small, or maybe every month you should be contributing 100 naira. Some say no, if that group of people can contribute 150, we can contribute 200 naira every month. Through engagement, interaction with the micro, small, and medium enterprise, you can arrive at something that they will be contributing in the form of presumptive tax. And that payment will make them to have the pride of becoming taxpayers. And they will be having their eyes on how government is spending the money. But the situation whereby you come openly and say that you are pushing away about 90% of the people out of the tax net. So you are only relying on 10% of people for the payment of tax. So you are saying that you are now taking the whole of the government to 10% of people, or probably 1% of people. My worry is about that threshold. The fact that you have threshold does not mean that somebody that is not at that threshold, who is making money, cannot contribute with a view to owning the government. I hope you understand. My concern is about ownership. Taxation is a way of owning the government. So if I pay tax, like now I pay tax, I know every month they deduct something out of my salary as a lecturer in the university. I will look at my pay slip and see the contribution that I have made. So if I need tax clearance certificate, I can go there and collect it, whatever reason. But you that are not paying anything, what tax clearance will you ask for? Okay? And then if something bad is happening in government, you see them stealing money, do you have any right to complain? Is it their money? What have you contributed there? So a situation whereby we want people to be economically empowered to own government. And then we are now having a reform that is saying that that is even proud to say that about 90% are made not taxable, even presumptive tax. So in other words, I am of the view that as we claim for transactional tax to be paid by the rich and luxury asset to be taxed as that are at the lower level, they should also be paying some presumptive tax, even if it is 10 naira per month or 20 naira per month, so that those rich people claim that the government belongs to them, this one too will say, yes, the government belongs to us. So provision like this is not there in the act. All they are just claiming is that they have pushed people away from the tax net, and pushing them away from the tax net, just pushing them away from ownership. So you are just surrendering the whole of the government to very few people who will now be teleguiding those in the position of authority. And you will just be asking for help all the time. Well, you can also claim ownership with pride, or no matter the amount that you are contributing to government. The other aspect of it is this absence of adequate provision in the Act on property tax. Property tax, yes, property tax. Like I was talking about luxury asset. Those with luxury asset, they need to be taxed on the value of this luxury asset so that we generate more revenue. Those that are doing the transaction of high volume of money, they need to be taxed for this transaction. That's what we call transactional tax. So you can see that as we are talking of relieving the poor or income earners from tax, from this tax rate, we are not talking much about taxing the rich in the bill. It is not clear as to how properties of the rich people in this country, who are very small. Someone was even telling me that in Nigeria, where you say 99% of the wealth of the country is in the hand of 1% of the people in the country. That 99% of the people of this country, they own only about 10% of the wealth of the country. What a gap. If this is true, we have not done any study empirically to ascertain these figures, but you can see some sign of it. And you need taxation to bridge the gap. And then as you are arguing for the bridging of the gap, you now have a reform that is throwing away 90% of the people from the tax net. And then the people drafting the bill are even proud to say it. So I have reservation on this. If I found my way, I will agitate for appropriate correction to be done. And that does not mean that I'm agitating for the taxing of the poor. I'm talking about those that can afford. They are not for the personal income tax rate, but then they pay presumptive tax with a view to owning the government, with a view to ensuring that the government is not allocated to only the very few rich. And then these few rich, in the other way around, there are no adequate provision, there are no clear provision to see how their wealth will be taxed. No. If you look at all the statements that I've been making, there's nowhere that I mentioned that the North is having this agitation. I'm just talking to you about areas of concern in the law. Areas of concern. I think I only made reference to the North when it comes to this issue of sharing of VAT, that the governors and traditional rulers in the North, they are forced to raise alarm. And they raise alarm on this matter only. But all the other matters that I mentioned, they have not said anything. Maybe they have not seen them. They don't have this perspective that I have. Okay, so I am a Nigerian first before becoming a Northerner. So I talk as a Nigerian. My concern is about the Nigerian people. And the Northern people are also part of Nigeria. Yeah, you see their position, or the worry they express is just about the injustice they suspect from the issue of VAT collection and sharing. And even that provision has been made perfectly, I doubt very much if they will complain. And then secondly, they may be having the suspicion that the drafters of the bill were just reading the mind of the president. A president who was a governor in Lagos State, who developed, people are just having the feeling that he was the one that developed the Lagos agenda, which is about making the Lagos State to have a special status in Nigeria. And special status is just about maybe putting it into a position higher than other governors, but not up to the level of the federal government. And then when you are targeting that special status position, then a lot of things could be designed that will be favoring Lagos. So those that are attaching the bill, one, they are doing that in view of the formula they discovered, which may not be, will not augur well for them on the VAT allocation. And then secondly, they may be having the feeling that this law was just designed to favor Lagos State in the course of its own effort to become a state that has special status. Okay? It says so that will make it to be seen as if it is a country of its own, even though it's not up to the level of country, but it is higher than all other states in the country. Probably this may be the reason why they are agitating. The one that you can see clearly is on this issue of VAT. And then they have other suspicion. So that is another worry that I have. The issue of trust. Trust, what some experts call trust deficit. Yes, will be promoted greatly by these bills if corrective measures are not taken. All these issues that I mentioned, I did that honestly as a Nigerian. By all standards, I should be accepted as a Nigerian. Even by virtue of my past, people should accept accept me as a Nigerian. I don't have any reason to be sentimental against any part of this country. I don't have any reason to be favorable to one region against another. I don't have any reason for that. But even by the battle of my birth and my own level of experience, okay? And of course by my age, somebody that is around 60. So that person should only be thinking about what you meet when you die, when you reach your goal. Okay, so I think to be fair to them, we can say that their worry is mainly about that issue, and then all other issues are suspicion.
At the core of what makes us human is our ability to pay attention, be present in our experiences, and channel our thoughts and actions towards meaningful goals. However, for individuals with ADHD, which is considered a neurodevelopmental disorder, a medical condition that affects the brain. This fundamental aspect of human nature is often disrupted, leading to difficulties in maintaining focus, controlling impulses, and regulating behaviors.
This hyperactivity disorder is a neurodevelopmental disorder that occurs in children and adolescents. It's a problem that has to do with brain development and the brain function. And the ADHD symptoms range from inattention, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. They may be very restless, fidgeting, and they're always on the move. And sometimes they may be climbing, jumping from here and there, that they may injure themselves in the process.
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, is one of the most common mental disorders diagnosed in children, though it can persist into adolescent and adulthood. The history dates back to 1798, when a Scottish doctor, Sir Alexander Crichton, observed that some individuals were easily distracted and unable to focus on their activities as others could. He noted that these symptoms often began early in life, which is consistent with what we now recognize as ADHD. The disorder typically manifests between the ages of 3 and 6, with symptoms such as difficulty in focusing, excessive movement inappropriate to the setting, and impulsive actions occurring without forethought. This ailment affects people of all ages, though most commonly diagnosed in children. The average age of onset is around 7 years, with symptoms significantly impacting various aspects of life. Approximately 5 to 10 of children worldwide are affected, with the highest prevalence rates observed in Africa at 8.5% and South America at 11.5%. Variations exist across different countries, with lower rates in Japan and Finland and higher rates in Jamaica and Thailand. In the United States, about 7% of children are diagnosed with this disorder, reflecting an average of prevalence globally.
Differentiate between ADHD and other neurodevelopmental disorders. It starts with comprehensive assessment. And when I talk about assessment, I mean assessment by child psychiatrists, assessment by child psychologists, and other professionals in the mental health team. And of course, there are some basic symptoms that are very clear and obvious. The clinical presentation, when you see a child that is hyperactive, that is impulsive, that is inattentive, that itself can give you a clue that that child may be having ADHD symptoms. And again, you also take further history. You may need to take, if there's a family history of ADHD in the setting, because if there is a family history of ADHD, the child may come out with ADHD in the nearest future.
Individuals affected faces challenges that extend into academic performance, work or personal relationships, and social domains. Some of the signs include constant fidgeting, impulsiveness, and difficulty completing tasks, alongside emotional struggles such as mood swings, low self-esteem, and frustration.
The diagnosis is made following a comprehensive assessment, and you also do some basic psychological investigations, and of course, by combining the report from the child psychiatrist and the child psychologist, you'll be very comfortable to make a diagnosis. And of course, I must say that there are some childhood disorders that may mimic ADHD, like learning disability, like autism spectrum disorders. But the symptoms of ADHD are so very obvious that when you see a child that is hyperactive and oftentimes restless, oftentimes impulsive and unable to follow instructions, that should give you a high index of suspicion that that child may be struggling with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
While it's not a physical ailment like a broken bone, it is a real condition that is frequently accompanied by other conditions such as major depressive disorder, anxiety, substance abuse, learning disabilities, conduct disorder, and oppositional defense disorder, which complicates the management and treatment of the disorder. Treatment for ADHD typically involves a combination of medical, therapy, and behavioral interventions. Stimulants are also the most commonly used, with 70 to 80% of children experiencing symptoms relief. Cognitive behavioral therapy, anger management, and family therapy are key in managing symptoms, along with educational interventions that enhance coping strategies and organizational skills. While these treatments help manage ADHD, they do not cure it, highlighting the need for ongoing support and personalized care. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD, is a complex condition with far-reaching effects on behavior, cognition, and emotional well-being. Continued research and effective treatments are vital in helping those affected lead fulfilling lives and contribute meaningfully to their society. Grace Komolafe, Souq News TV.
What keeps the heartbeat of a community alive? Is it the courage to create, the power to connect, the vision to transform? Well, it's all of these and more. It's a symphony of ideas, innovation, and industry. But where do these stories come alive? It's right here on The Isle, 104.9 FM, the station where dreams meet action and growth finds its voice. The Isle, 104.9. Business, economy, development. Stay tuned.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
My yellow